It's county. Good evening, the time being 5:35 p.m. I'd like to call to order the November 2nd, 2021 Board, Tilton Northfield Fire and EMS Fire Commissioners monthly meeting. Let the record show that all three commissioners are present, as is Chief Sitar, Deputy Joubert, Catherine Tobine, and a member of the audience, Kevin Kate.
I'm back like a bad pen.
Oh, bad pennies are still worth something. So it's all good, man. All right. First up, I call the meeting to order. Next is public comment from members of the district, employees of the district. No? Members of the public?
He's speaking.
He's a member of the district. Well, he's a member of the district. Okay. Right. He lives here, I think. He hasn't moved. Maybe he lives in his office. I don't know. Correspondence, do we have any?
No.
No?
I have, from Attorney Fitzgerald, I have a meeting with him later this week in regards to our upcoming meeting and a response to the last letter that the Water District sent. So until I talk with him, I don't know what he wants to say.
Okay. Should we reshuffle the order?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will bring up old business first. The station committee regarding design build. Ooh.
I wasn't my name, I'm just so I can see.
Right. So we have the station building committee came to us last week to present I forget what it was called. Pardon me. Design build
Method of construction.
method. And now we have another. This is from, yeah, it was from the Design Build Industrial Association.
Yeah.
Industry of America. I think that's what it was called.
So what I sent out to you earlier today and passed out to you this evening is a correspondence from our architect Kyle Barker, which you can read, but included in that is a section from Chapter 13 of the State School Building Program, which describes all the different methods of construction and delivery methods that the state recognizes. And basically there are three types. And if you haven't, it'd probably take you about 10 minutes to read the paperwork to go through all the different things, but you should probably read that before you make any decisions so you can be, the pros and cons of all the different methods.
Yeah, I glanced it over. Well, I'll do it in March. And for the life of me, I drew a blank on what we did at the police station.
It was bid build.
It wasn't traditional, but
It wasn't design build. Sanditon voters approved design build for their new town offices and the renovations for the old town offices into their public safety building.
I'll text Kevin LaChapelle and see if he'll answer what method they used for the police station, just if you.
yeah.
Is it construction management? Didn't they have construction?
We had a construction manager for
Yeah,
our
I think that's what,
police.
Right.
I think that's what it was, but.
That's basically bid build. A construction manager is hired by the owner and then takes the reins from there
I
and
remember-
hires all the subcontractors.
In the previous round, for lack of a better word, and during the other committee,
Okay.
we had, was it DPS?
Lon Page and Stone.
Keith from DPS, yes.
Yeah, well, we had hired them as a construction.
They were the construction company under the old process
Right.
with Kyle Barker from when he was Webb, I think, or,
And we should.
He was on his own, I think.
We should
at the-
clarify that Kyle is not our architect, and BPS is not our contractor, because that was prior to the 2019 Fire Station Committee.
Well, no, it was during the 2019 process that the BPS got involved.
No, Barker came to a couple of our meetings when he told us that we couldn't build that 14,000 square foot building on that property prior to the acquisition of the additional land. And we could, and he told us that we couldn't build right to the property line, and we could, and told us many other things that we couldn't do that we actually can.
Well, my recollection is that the commissioners previously had hired Kyle Bacher and BPS as their architect and construction management firm, and have not dismissed them as of yet.
so that is an ongoing contract that we've been paying them?
Every time they submit a bill, we pay them. We don't have a contract per se.
But they haven't been submitting
They haven't had submitted any bills lately.
in 2019 or 18.
Yeah, they
My
were-
understanding is that would have ended when the Manville Road project was not approved by the voters, because that's what they were hired to do.
They're actually hired to do not only Manville Road, but the Tilton School property as well.
Well, I wasn't on the committee.
And-
I wasn't a commissioner for the Tilton.
And they also did a plan for renovating
To Parks.
the Park Street Station as
That's
a,
all part of the other stuff.
as a substation, as part of
Right.
Manville Road.
Bonapage and Stone is building the new town office for
Yes.
Sangerton as a design-build contractor.
Correct. That's, so we've seen very high costs in the past. Part of that, when you go with construction and engineer, there is a lot of things. A large station has the inherent large costs, is not gonna be accepted by the public. You gotta build something bare to bones with a little bit, so you're not moving out of it or expanding it the next year, but something more reasonable. We have the Manville Road plans that were sent. There was so much admin space in there, so many extra offices, so much extra of this. And then we had an upstairs immediately that we had to put in for some bunk places. We had a training/hose tower on the other side. Once you start adding stairs in, that's 20 to 40,000 each. And then we had a hose tower only for training on the other side. All these things add up unbelievably very fast. And that's part of the thing. Tilton School, Tilton School property, same thing. We had a separate hose tower on the opposite side of the building to access the mezzanine on that side.
Right.
So that's another whole steel stairway we're
But that's
building.
not a plan that we're discussing. We're
No,
discussing.
but these are things that were built or concept in the past. Being a design build, that's what we're looking at, is better control, smaller scale, because that's the only way the public is going to go with it.
I read Kyle's email to the chief, and I recall the chief's comments when this was brought up previously, that design build was the most expensive way to build a building, which is inaccurate.
No, I don't think- that's not true.
It's easy enough.
I'm not
to-
saying it's design build is, I never said design build is the most expensive way. It's probably the cheapest way.
Right.
Well, I watched the meeting, and if that's gonna be a problem, then I'll find it in the video, because that's exactly what you said, that it was the most expensive way to build a building. Regardless, one of the concerns that Kyle said, that it's not appropriate to use design build when public money is involved in this. That's obviously untrue, because Sangerton did it. It's very easy to put a warrant article before the voters that says to build a fire station at a price not to exceed $1 million or $12 million, whatever the cost comes out to be when that plan is finalized. That gives the opportunity for the owner's representatives, be it the commissioners or the fire station committee, the opportunity to save on costs. Make decisions like, do we use oak doors or do we use pine doors? Do we have bulletproof glass or will we just have regular glass? Every single decision can be made by that team that document that I passed out last week talks about. You come up with a number, not to exceed, and you go from there. You can hire an architect, you can use an architect that the design build contractor recommends. It's flexible and it's an easy process to go through because the owners get to make all the decisions about what goes into the building. The architect can come up with a plan and you can say, yeah, we don't like it. We don't want to have a masonry building. We want to have a metal building. We want to have a stick-built building. Whatever the decision is made about how the building is going to be framed. It comes from the owner, not from the architect. Now, the architect can certainly have expertise in, what works well. Hopefully, in the contractor will also have expertise in, the ramifications of adding on to or renovating the existing garage at Park Street. Because we don't know what the requirements will be as far as bringing that building up to current code based upon the amount of work that's done to it or whether we attach another building to it or not. We've talked about that in the committee meetings, but none of us are experts in what the codes are. And again, so that gives us flexibility through the design build process with a company that, or with an organization that knows what those requirements are.
Kevin just replied, construction management for the police station.
That's what I thought it was.
And so with construction management, the owner loses control after the plans are made.
Not necessarily. The police building study committee, we had, because when we presented it at the public hearing, there was on the Tanger parking lot side of the building, there was I don't know, for lack of a better word, a kick out, a bump out in the building, and someone suggested, it would be cheaper to remove that because I think it affected the roof line and, the cuts and things like that. And so that was, I don't want to say 11th hour, but it was a late decision to make it a flat building, all the way down. It's, so it was square, so to speak, even though it's a rectangle.
No, corners cost money.
Yeah, but we were able to,
Yeah.
but we were able to, make decisions, and along the way, at some point along the line of the process there, the committee just determined that had to be not just a 20-year building, but a 50-year building. So there were decisions that were made, as like using masonry versus wood, because the masonry, according to
The longevity.
longevity. But then there's also some inherent safety,
Oh, yeah.
For the type of building that it is, why those decisions were made. There's different things in the architecture, in the makeup of the, of the building to make it. But they got, the town of Felton spent thousands on architecture plans on failed plans in the past.
So have we.
So, well, no, exactly, so have we,
Which
but,
is I'm glad you brought that up because the committee has asked that, the committee wants to know how much money we have paid Kyle Barker, either as an individual or when he was with the prior organization.
Waterhouse or Wheelhouse
I forget the
Waterhouse.
Warren or.
or Warren Street
Warren
Architecture.
Street.
There it is, yes.
And it was started with a W.
Yeah,
So,
warrant it.
If somebody can provide that for our next meeting, that would be great.
Is it in there?
I'm just opening up QuickBooks.
I have a question for you, remember about the building committee and the station, because I'm not familiar with it. When you walked into that price that was voted on and approved that you got from the construction management company,
yeah.
if there was an increase in material costs, was that on them or was that on the town at that time?
Well, you have a contingency plan.
Right, you do.
Fund for things like that.
Let's say COVID hits and everything doubles in price.
Well, so at the end of the project, I was told by the construction manager that the building that we built for, just under $5 million would be doubled because of COVID and the supply chain issues. I don't know if that is still true today because I've heard lumber prices have come down, so a lot of things have come down, but there's inherent,
Still shortages and stuff.
yeah, there's still shortages.
I didn't know
Yeah.
if you signed the contract, you were like, for this price, this company's gonna build this building. for
Yeah,
you.
yes, there was at that point where we,
But a construction manager will put into their pricing,
Right.
Correct.
the way that Eric described it as a contingency fund, that there's extra monies in there.
right, but then we had, as you get past that point of like, okay, we know that we're gonna be able to, put the roof on for $50,000 or whatever, we had owner add-ons, that things that like, kind of like a wish list item that we cut out to save money, but when we realized that, okay, we can add, we didn't say, oak doors versus pine doors or whatever like that. There was doors that, were designed to be in a police station. I mean, I don't want to laugh about it, but, the best plans go awry. I don't know if you probably saw in local news that, we had a jail cell and we had someone in there, and the first time that someone went like that to it, guess what? He broke it, and that's because the wrong glass was installed. But that was on the manufacturer of the door. It wasn't designed to be elbowed by someone, and it wasn't very powerful elbow, but he shattered the first customer. I don't know the first, but you're like, oh, that's embarrassing, but it happens. But along the way there were, there was like a floor drain that needed to be added in the Sally Port. There was, then once you get the building open, you realize, I think they put a door handle on the wrong side of the door. It just didn't work to have it on the left side of the door versus the right side of the door. And I don't really know exactly how they fixed it, but, like there were decisions made, cost cutting decisions, like, do we want to be able to add on a second floor at that building at one point, or put in, you're talking about stairs and elevators and things like that, but, did we want to prepare for that possibility in the future? And we decided no. We decided that, it's a 50-year building, and if we really had to, we could go out a multitude of different ways than going up, because when you go up, you're looking at elevators, you're looking at stairs. Yeah, I don't know how much, elevators are easily $100,000, even if you're just going up one floor.
Elevator and 2 stairs, yes.
Yeah, you usually, that's what we were looking at, but those are decisions that we made as a committee, working with the architect, and, because, we're like, oh, well, what if we do that, and, the next week the architect, oh, no, that's, that's a $100,000 thing. Like, oh, no, wait, we're trying to get the max, so we're not gonna do it, but then, because everything had every change had an effect somewhere else, so, we put the doorway here or this, then it changes the size of the rooms, and, even the day it opened, we realized that there were some issue, just the way you plan it, was like, oh, in practicality, these guys should really be over here, and these guys should be over here, but that's just an internal thing, it wasn't Like, that wasn't an oops, it was just,
Mhm.
you know, even though we had police officers on the committee, it was you know, reality. They work better out of this place, so.
So the station committee pretty much is more, they've definitely been talking, and this seems like it's less expensive, and that's part of what we have to do to make this happen, is get less expensive. So the engineers, if you did request for bids, and these companies can come in, and like DPS has engineers on within the company. So you're not paying an outside entity on that. And there are quite a few companies around the Lakes region who are design-build companies. So,
Another advantage to many of the design build contractors, not all of them, is that many of them are LEED certified, LEED certified.
Yep.
So when they look at building a building, then they look at the least amount of energy required to operate that building once it's open.
All for that.
On a, I'm gonna ask a question. Do you have questions, Cole? Comments?
No, well, I mean, it's nice to listen to this because, you know, I mean, let's face it, in order to get it, if the price ain't right, you'll never get it. I mean, look how many years it's gone by and by and by.
One of my concerns now, which you guys just brought up, is the increased cost of building materials. And it's not just building materials.
It's everything.
I use a lot of fuel in my business,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have to go up on some of my prices.
I hate to see what your fuel bill is every month.
I think some things are like 30% increase right now with the
Yeah.
COVID, with
Oh.
construction materials and supplies.
Yeah.
Material supplies, supply chain shortages,
Yep.
labor's more, fuel's more.
Mhm.
There isn't anything that's less right now.
Right.
No,
No, labor is just going through the roof, because now, guys that you were able to pay $20 a year ago, now you're paying, it's a 1/3 increase, you know, you gotta pay these guys $30 an hour, so that has a direct effect.
I saw a sign at McDonald's today, now hiring up to $15
Yeah.
per hour.
Yeah.
So they got what they want.
Well, at work, I don't work in the construction, I work in the hotel industry, but I got construction guys that stay at my hotel, you know, and I have one guy, he originally was gonna be done building an Aroma Joe's in Plymouth, and, you know, he's done, but they can't use it yet, because what do you need to open up an Aroma Joe's?
Snap.
Coffee machines. And none of the brewers are there, they're all back ordered, because they're all sitting on ships somewhere out in the Pacific Ocean. So here's a guy, he's got a finished building, he can't use it. You know, but the project went, he was supposed to be done mid-September, and last week was he got his seal last week, so, you know, it was at the end of October, so he went about 6 weeks longer than, and of course, I asked him, because I'm curious, you know, he doesn't give me numbers, but I'm like, how much did that add on to the job, the fact that you were supposed to finish in September, and he's like, everything is supply chain and labor. You know, he was just the superintendent on the project, but he hires, you know, the thing is that, you know, all his groundwork was done by Hiltz, and, you know, he hires a local electrician, and, you know, they built the actual building at site and trucked it out here, but it was, you know, a lumber cost.
Those are all examples
It's
of
all-
increased costs that we have to definitely be aware of.
And for contractors now at this time of year that had planned to be ahead at a certain point in the schedule, and they're not. I have a customer around the corner from me who's building a 110,000 square foot assisted living building. And they planned on having their windows in now, and they had planned on having the entire building framed.
Weather tight.
And their winter conditions costs are gonna go through the roof because they're so far behind.
Plastic and heat.
And they may, and it's going to affect me because I was gonna rent them the heaters for the building.
Yeah,
So they may only heat portions of it instead of heating the entire building, which is what my
you're at,
$55,000 contract was for.
yeah. Now maybe a $25,000 contract. 'Cause it's-
We'll see.
Well, no, but if they don't heat the whole building,
Right.
you know, but
Right.
that's the effects that we're having right now, where,
Yeah.
you know, plus, okay, now if you get a crew, let's say your painting crew comes down with COVID, you know, I don't think it's as bad this year as it was last year, but, you know, they lose crews for
Well,
COVID.
part of their problem is not just materials, but it's framing crews.
Yeah.
Because it's all stick built and their framers don't have the.
So does that mean that
they-
going steel or masonry, is that gonna be cheaper in the long run? I don't know.
These will be questions.
If you-
that
No,
we
but
go
this
in
is
the
something I'm
process,
thinking
right.
about.
If you can get it, I have a customer that is waiting to get paid on a $40,000 patio for 27 Tekelbach caps.
He's just waiting for the caps. The
Yeah.
rest of the job's done, he's not.
And the
gonna
walls,
check until it's
everything's done,
Yeah.
waiting for the caps.
So essentially what we're kind of looking for tonight is to figure out which way to go to get this thing going.
And I don't have to say it, but I'm going to. You guys know time is of the essence.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't know that we're gonna be effective in getting a plan done by the annual meeting. That's our goal, but even, so we won't, the committee won't meet until next week.
Correct.
And then, given whatever the decision is of the commissioners tonight, we have to advertise. We have to go out and, we need to solicit, really is what we're
2
gonna
to
have
4
to do,
weeks.
solicit contractors to bid on, in whatever fashion you guys decide to go. That's gonna put us easily to the beginning of December.
Yeah.
Well,
And then we've got Christmas, and New Year's, and
then in January, you gotta start having public hearings on stuff, if you're gonna be putting a warrant article into the,
I don't really see it as practical to have an article with this warrant, for the upcoming warrant, given the time constraints. People will feel rushed, they won't feel comfortable voting on it because it's, I don't know if we'll even get to the point where we have a number.
we may not.
Right.
But that is obviously
Or-
still our
But
goal.
I think trying to rush it wouldn't serve us well either.
No.
but my other, let's just say, everything falls in our order, that we get everything you guys are looking for in the order, but how long is that price guaranteed for? Meaning, like, when you put a bid out,
Inventory.
when you put a bid out on something, you probably say this price is good for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. You know, when we're going, because obviously, okay, let's say the end of January, we got a plan together, and we know it's gonna cost us $3.5 million to build a fire station, whatever the plan is, I'm just saying build a fire station. You know, and we get to district meeting, provided it's held in March, like it's supposed to be. Now all of a sudden, you know, there's more wood shortages and more of this, and now all of a sudden the prices will go up, and now it's, you know, it goes up to a $4 million project because the price of wood went up, you know, combined $500,000, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, or
Sure.
maybe the you know, fuel hits $5 a gallon versus, you know, whatever it is now, $3.50 a gallon. You know, that, it's not a big jump, but when you start adding in, you know, diesel costs,
For all factors.
yeah, it's, you know, it's all,
That would certainly be one of the questions that we would have to ask. the
yeah,
contractor.
it's just,
It would be in the contract.
yeah.
So,
I mean, the one thing that, and I haven't had a chance to, I glanced at it while I was eating lunch today. But this, and I didn't read the email, I read this, I didn't read the bulk deal, but here, the thing that concerns me, I just like to know more about this statement, is the design build is not appropriate when public money is involved, because we all know this is public money. And I just don't know what that statement means, where it comes from. Is it referenced in this document?
Well,
And I, you know, I don't,
That's Kyle Barker's opinion, I don't know how he holds that opinion,
Yeah,
so
so,
right.
you would have to ask him that, I don't know.
And we know that it's appropriate in Zamberton.
right.
no, and I get it, you know, I get it, but, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, the cost of everything doesn't go, because that was approved in May.
Last.
It was at their town meeting last
Yeah, but
year.
their town meeting is in May, because I think they're SB2, they're not.
No, they're
No,
not
they're not
SB2.
SB2.
Their fiscal year, though. Their fiscal year starts in July.
Yeah,
Not
so,
January.
so their town meeting was in May, and now they're just started.
It just broke ground.
They just broke ground on the building.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very long process after the,
Yeah, well, that's what, and I don't know if that, hopefully that price stays stable, there are not gonna be any surprises there.
Talk about winter conditions.
Yeah.
Now is not the time to start building a building.
No,
Whether
no,
they get all their site work
yeah, I
done
mean,
for the foundation prior to frost.
the police station, we broke ground in May of last year, May or maybe early June, no, May. We did the groundbreaking, and, we were in that building in February, so that's not terrible. We were trying for December, but, again, because of COVID, you lose a crew or something like that,
Yeah, I wouldn't want to start a building now.
no,
Not of any size.
We built a house now,
That's, yeah, I mean,
great.
so what do the commissioners wanna do on this?
I guess my opinion is, number one, design build is not appropriate when public, when I'd like to know what it means by that. Is it because they're afraid the money's not gonna be spent in the right places? I don't know, I'm curious what that means. There had to be a reason why he put that in there, that's all I can say. The other thing too is, I guess my philosophy is, if you can get something cheaper and as it works, why not do it that way? I mean, we're all in it to save money the best way we can. It's all public money. I pay taxes just like everybody else. And I'm sure the people, would want you to look out for their dollar.
if you like, I can ask Kyle to reply to that, or explain why he put that in there.
I'm just curious if these run across a couple incidents where something has happened, why it's not a good idea, or it's just something that a lawyer probably, maybe it's not a good idea, I don't know.
Well, most architects, unless they have a relationship with design-build contractors, don't like design-build because they get left out.
Well, you still need an architect to design the building, whether it's working for the contractor, or the contractor sub bids out. In the state of New Hampshire, you need a stamped set of plans from an architect, and they have to be approved by an engineer.
And the design build has staff on hand to do
Well,
such.
Design-build contractors either have architects and engineers on staff, or they have some that they work with. So if you
Yeah.
have an architect that doesn't have those relationships, then they don't like design-build because they lose out on the work. And I'm not saying that that's why he wrote that, that's
If we're
part
reaching,
of design-build.
if we're reaching out to Kyle to ask that, I want it very clear, specific. I want to see the email that goes to him, and I want him to explain the fact behind it and not the assumption or the opinion. Citing documentation and all that, showing why it is a fact and not an assumption.
Sure.
And, yeah, so we want to see how it goes. Because,
Before I send anything to him, I'll have you guys review it.
thank you.
My only experience is with construction management, and it worked well. But this is a different beast, different people involved, different towns involved.
There's design build going up all over the place.
No, I know.
Right now, I mean, it is an up and coming thing. I mean, I hate to say it, but my father still does bidding out to these design build companies and all that for the electrical side of things. So they pretty much say, I'm putting in Kettlehood Brewery. This is the building, what do I need for electrical to wire up and do all this stuff? And he literally submits a design build bid, da 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 da. Here you go. And to the contractors, and that goes out to multiple contractors and all that, but, and yeah, you can get engineered print. I can tell you, engineered prints, when I was doing construction, they were the best money makers in the world. Because the engineer who sits there doesn't they're up on stuff, but they may miss stuff. So when we're putting a conduit runs in the ground and we're putting 4 parallel 4 inches going down, we already know that they forgot the control line to that generator. As part of the engineer bid, that's
That's the electrical engineer.
It isn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
I can tell you, I've seen it with masonry. I've seen it with many other things where the engineer missed it. So every trade, the plumbers, they miss this trap, they miss this, and that is immediately an extra when you're dealing with engineered prints.
I agree with what you're saying. The stamp that you need in the state of New Hampshire is from a structural engineer
Yes.
to make sure the building's not gonna fall down.
I understand that.
It's not from an electrical engineer or a plumbing engineer or a mechanical engineer to make sure the systems work.
And I understand that, and with construction management, every set of plans have to be stamped equivalent. So a plumbing engineer has to look at it, an electrical engineer. I understand exactly what you're saying with that. Every field has to have something. Your fire alarm permits, or fire alarm print has to be approved by an agency and make sure it's within a code. That you have what you have, your firewall rating in between, your life safety codes, your BOCA codes. I understand fully what you're saying. A design build has that capability, or they have a working agreement with someone who can do that.
Oh, no,
Otherwise,
I
they will not
understand.
be in business long. And yet they can still save money because they think ahead instead of thinking about how I could get the extra of that 1 to 2% extra because they know that you missed something and they're just waiting for it to be built. Oh, by the way, you need another conduit going out to there. So now we're going 1,000 feet of conduit that's being added after the
Yeah,
fact.
they want the change orders.
Correct.
I think that the easiest way to help everybody understand it is that we've all tried to work on something, be it work on an engine, work on your car, work on anything. I'm working on one of my skid steers right now where they're trying to replace the starter. It takes 2 people because one has to be at the back of the machine, one has to be underneath the cab that is tilted up in the air, laying on the belly, reaching in, and neither one of you can touch the starter. That's because that's the way that an engineer designed that engine placement inside the machine. Engineers don't live in the real world. They live in their CAD world. A design-build contractor, whether it be a mechanical contractor, electrical contractor, plumbing contractor, HVAC guy, mason, frame, whoever they are, they live in the real world. So when John's describing what his father did and came up with those plans, he didn't miss that run that went out to the generator because he lives in the real world. The plumber doesn't miss that trap because he lives in the real world. He's built these buildings before. He knows that, within every, 6, all 6 of the bays for the fire station are gonna need floor drillings. Or maybe they're gonna do a French drain across the whole, however they're gonna do it. They know what needs to be done. It's not just an engineer and an architect sitting in an office going, clicking keys on a computer.
Yeah, you have a lot of that they understand, okay, part of it's a garage, so they, you need, as you just said, drains or a French, whatever, a trench drain, or is it a regular drain, I don't, that's why you hire them,
Right.
because, none of us are gonna really, well, we all have our opinion, but, none of us are correct, because, yeah, you say, oh, I have a 4 drain in my shop, and it works great, and then he may say, well, in the station we have a trench drain, it works great, so but leave it to the professionals, but we have to figure out which professionals to use right now.
Right.
So, I've been involved in building 2 fire stations in Tewksbury, 2 different construction methods. One was the design, build, and then it was the biggest headache that I've been through in my whole life, just about. The second fire station was used construction management, which went along much smoother. But what I found is that with that method, and I think it happened with the first one as well, is the contractors that you hire or the engineers that design it, the quality of, if they've done that work before, it's much better than if you hired somebody that, well, yeah, I put floor drains in Joe's warehouse, but you didn't put them in a fire station before, and you don't know what the requirements are. And that's where we really ran into problems, was with the
That was
sub.
part of our discussion at our last meeting, was looking at and prioritizing contractors who have built fire stations within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Was it,
We talked about
somebody pulled up a list.
there's online webs of saying where stations were built in New Hampshire. I forget the exact web.
Yeah.
address, but you can see what's been built recently as comparisons, and there's information on that.
And who the
Did-
contractors were.
Did it say if it was, what method they used?
I don't
I
think it
don't
went that
recall if
deep.
they did or not.
I would just be curious.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if it did, but it may not, I don't know.
Because I know like Bowen is building station right now. I don't
They've done
remember
a
where.
couple. They did, I think they did Molten Borough,
Who's this?
Bowen Construction.
Oh,
But I
Yeah,
don't know if they're a design build contractor or not. That was just an example. They were on that list of contractors who had built fire stations within, I don't recall how we sorted it, was in the last 10 years or 5 years or what it was. But that would be our priority, is to get somebody who's,
Our
we don't want,
experience
we don't
has
want
a
somebody
little
who's built, who builds Aroma Joe's to
No,
win
absolutely.
the bid and come in and go, oh, well,
Right.
at least we put the coffee pot in the right place.
Because there is institutional knowledge, as you said, when they build, and absolutely, you want someone that's built
Done it
schools,
before.
done public safety buildings, things, because there is inherent dealing with government bonds or whatever process, and there is some nuances to it. But there are quite a few of them around the area that have been established for many years.
And the other thing to think about is, okay, let's, again, just assuming that everything falls the way it should be, we approve it, when are they able to start? Because I hear, you know, everyone's all backed up. And,
Yeah.
are you looking at a 2023 start date? You know, realistically, because as we just said, we don't want to start, you know, this time of year. Well, you could, I guess, if you're just doing your groundwork, and then by the spring,
Well, you're not gonna
Turn
vote on
into a
this until,
quagmire.
March.
right,
Right, but
so you'll look in 2023 possibly for breaking ground.
Yeah.
I think would be realistic.
They get foundations in the ground
year round,
now,
right?
so you're not doing, you're
But yeah, but
dealing with frost.
yeah, but then you gotta get your trades, you know, before the winter really starts flying.
The ideal is to get it weather tight before,
There you go.
before the
Well,
winter really starts.
Because then they don't mind working through the winter because it's
It's
work
indoors.
through
It's
winter.
Yes and no, because then you have to do, then you gotta heat it, if you're working
You're
outside.
Yeah, it's
you're-
expensive to heat that.
So, the second fire station we built, we ended up using the masonry guys, put up all the masonry in the winter. We had to build a tent around the
Yeah,
building,
tented, yeah.
and heat it. And I'm sure Taylor Rental down the street made $1 million off them just for renting the
Well,
heaters.
believe it, it's not the cost of renting the heaters, it's fuel costs.
Yeah.
And those run on what, propane?
Yep.
Propane, natural gas, or diesel fuel, like.
So if you had a, because I know when, at the police station, they had a big, natural gas heater outside the building, but.
They had a little one, that was little.
Well, okay, I thought it was big. But, you know, it was in the winter, but they, you know, it was tied into the natural gas line. So you never had to worry about, you know, running out on a Saturday at midnight, running out of propane. You know, it was just, as long as Liberty Utilities didn't run out of gas, we're.
And you had natural gas right nearby.
Well, yeah, the building, and I don't know, I think we do over there too,
Yes,
so.
it's everything's on.
The fuel cost is the big cost in heating a building for the wintertime. The one that I was referring to, that assisted living place, I'm looking at putting 5 million BTUs of heat into this building.
A little bit.
1.6 million of it running on diesel fuel, and then the balance of it running on either propane or natural gas. And those, the two heaters that run on diesel fuel, they burn 5 gallons an hour each, because they're self-contained. They have a generator that provides power to run the heaters in here. So the generator's burning the diesel fuel, and the heaters are burning the diesel
So, I guess if we can get a better explanation on this.
I'll compose an email tomorrow, I'll give it to you guys, get this,
Because
you guys can fully read
we still
this.
meet one more time before the committee
Yes, we
meets.
do, we meet next
We
Tuesday.
have a
Next
meeting, we have a
Tuesday.
budget
Oh.
meeting next Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday after the Water District meeting.
Oh, yeah,
So-
we meet Wednesdays, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So we, second
So
Wednesday.
you can make a
we'll go
decision
second
by
next
Wednesday, it threw me
Tuesday.
off.
I knew
As long
that
as
it
we
was
get the
Wednesday.
information.
But,
I
We just need to make sure that that's on the agenda and
It's
the
posted.
meeting is advertised,
yeah.
not as a workshop.
Right.
Because that was the issue that
Well,
we ran
can
into.
we make sure that that's posted for next week?
It's posted, I'll go ahead and change it from a workshop to
For the next
a
week?
regular meeting.
yeah,
I
and
have
we
it
can do
posted
both
as a
that way.
workshop.
So it's gonna be added now. And I'm not going on vacation this week to mess it up.
You can't, you just got back from
Yeah.
vacation.
Oh, I didn't know you were on vacation, so welcome back. So, that's good, I mean,
So next week we'll
it's a big
discuss
decision to
this and
make if you
hope-
think about it,
It
because we
is.
gotta figure out what, you know, it's not easy, and it wasn't easy when we were building the police station.
It's,
It's,
many contractors can work either way. They work as a construction manager, or they'll work as a design build contractor. You're probably gonna end up with the same pool of contractors that
yeah,
we'll solicit bids from. It's a matter of deciding, which method we want to use.
yeah.
We already know UPS can use either.
Yeah,
They're an example.
We use Milestone, I don't know if they're a design build or just strictly
Should
construction.
probably do either one.
Yeah,
Pretty much
If
anyone
they
that
have
can
the
do
staff
design build can
to
do the
support
other.
it.
Yeah.
and, they work with the architect that we have, so it was fine. And I think they've worked with that architect on other projects, so it wasn't a true,
Unless you got someone brand new out of school, most of them have all worked closely together in one fashion or another.
or, think like this Kyle guy,
Yeah.
you could have, he could have worked for a company and still maintains a relationship with another company. I
So to close out, so we hit the 1 hour like the deputy did last week.
don't know.
The chief is gonna draft a letter, he's gonna submit to the commissioners, then it's gonna go to Kyle Barker with hopefully get an answer back prior to the meeting on the 9th, so that we will be able to hopefully come up with an answer to pass off to the building committee on the 10th.
No, it's the 8th.
Oh, I'm sorry, the 8th.
The 8th is your meeting, the 9th, the 8th is the commissioners, the 9th
Okay,
is
8th and 9th, okay.
building committee.
Okay.
Wait, what'd you just say? The 10th is the building.
Yeah.
The 9th is-
Today's the second.
Yeah.
Today's the, oh, right, 9th and 10th, that's right,
Okay.
sorry.
I was right this time, so we're
You
even.
were, we're even.
We're even.
I'm all confused.
So, that's
Okay.
where we're going with that for right now? Just so we
Yeah,
can-
I think, just to get an explanation of that, I mean,
Fine.
traditional bid is out, we all know that, that's,
Well, and it will give the three of you an opportunity to read through what
Oh.
the chief,
Yep, absolutely. I wanted to digest it a little bit more, I saw it today for the first time.
I mean, to have him send it to you today and then expect a decision is.
well, I went to that, with the DBIA, I
Yeah.
went to their,
This one, I-
yeah, I went to their website over the weekend and
Yeah.
stuff, but now,
You
I gotta read a little bit more background about
Yeah.
Samberton, because that's the most local project I know that
Yes.
went on design build, so I just wanted.
Yep. And they, from what I've spoken with one of the people, they've been pretty impressed with the process so far.
Yeah.
Well, and forgive me, because I'm probably not going to remember his name, but the gentleman from DPS who was,
Keith,
Keith,
I thought, was he, because I watched the groundbreaking online. I thought it was Randy that was, but I probably.
The groundbreaking up there,
Samberton?
Yeah, for Samberton.
Oh,
yeah.
He is one of them.
I thought it was.
Randy is.
Randy's one of the owners.
Randy's one and Keith.
He's the only one of the owners.
Keith is one of the engineers. He was one that also came in because,
Yeah, but I thought it was the same guys that were here that were over there. I must have been mistaken, but, that may be worth a phone call too. Why, what's the benefit of design build over here in Samberton versus, construction management? To somebody that you guys already know?
I'll contact Keith as well,
I think that's good.
get different perspectives.
Yeah.
He's very busy around this area because I know there's other projects that they're gonna be.
They have a
doing
picture of
right here.
people, but they don't have any names.
They're doing a big one in Laconia, big project.
Alright. So you have 2 emails due out and hopefully replies. And then we'll take it the next step. Anything
Right.
else that I missed?
No. Kathy, or somebody's gonna give us the committee, the numbers that we've paid out so far.
Yep. and
Yes,
that's the
I've been
third item.
working on it. So far, I've come up with $28,660.
Altogether for
Altogether so
all the
far.
prints?
That's actually not bad compared
Everything.
to Tilton.
That's not bad for Tilton School and Manville Roads.
Well,
Because they've been just conceptuals mostly.
Yeah, we didn't get that. I don't think
Any
we
other
ever
money we
got that.
spent was probably engineering costs.
at that 6,500 of that was engineering, to BPS.
Yeah,
And
that was, Matt was really hot on knowing what those numbers were.
Yes.
So between Barker and Warren Street, it was $22,160.39.
One more time.
22,160.39.
Thank you. And that was the total so far.
And then BPS was engineering for 6,500.
That was like 28,000,
So the total is $28,660.39.
around like 29.
Yeah,
So 29, okay.
yeah.
All right, so we have that.
Do you need a representative from the committee here next week for your meeting?
Are you free? Are you volunteering?
Um,
Well, I mean, if you want to hear the discussion, you're more than welcome. Yes, I want you here,
If you're available.
if you're available, unless you're, got something better to do.
let the dogs out, 'cause
I don't know. If you're
my
going
wife
for-
will be coming
you might
back
be-
from New York that
If
day.
you're going for a mani-pedi or something like that,
Yeah,
then
no.
that's fine, but, you know. I just,
If you can,
Okay.
with your experience.
I mean, you've come to the last two where we discussed it, you might as well come to the
Yeah.
one. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah,
All right.
Thank
You
you.
seem like you're clean.
I am.
Okay.
Feel better.
Better than last week, but
Uh,
thank you, Chief. Usually takes about 2
You
weeks.
might want to get a stretcher ready for
Takes about 2 weeks, and Sunday will be 2 weeks, and then I'll do it again sometime next year.
Kathy and I were in the same boat last week.
Oh, yes, we were.
He was slow last week too.
Yeah, but I'm faster today.
You're blinking. All right.
COVID-19 update from the governor.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to get this out.
All right, we'll go back up and cover the chief's report, which is the freshie.
Okay.
You want questions just thrown out, or how do
Yeah,
you
if
want to
you
do it?
got questions, or you want me to go through it since you haven't had a chance to look at it? It's up to you guys.
I'd like to see you go through it, that way they would stop and,
We can stop and ask questions along the
Yeah.
way.
All right, starting at the top of the budget, the unassigned fund balance has not changed, and that'll be the same until we get a new one. Total in the apparatus and equipment fund balance, in that bank account is $318,054.06. Total revenue collected so far from the ambulance is $382,368.98. And that is $13,889.21 over the same amount that we had last year at the same time.
That number feels like it's shrunk.
So
a
last
little
month it was like we collected
Yeah, 20.
20,000 more, this
Yeah.
month it's 13,000 more. So we're doing good. We're 84% through the calendar year, and we've expended 75.6% of our operating budget, so we're still in good shape. Fire prevention report for, does any questions on that?
bit. Nope.
All right, fire prevention report, that is included out there, the handout's included there. And we did the same last month as we did the month before, 53 fire prevention inspections. Those are listed out for you and who did them and stuff like that. Any questions on those?
yeah, just one question on the inspections. I noticed in here there were a lot of them that were gas pipe. Is that going into the home from the road, or is that from the house to the,
Usually tank and sets, new tank sets.
okay, so it's from the tank into the, okay.
Yeah, from the street to the meter, for natural gas is done by the gas company.
And we don't do any of
We
that?
We don't do
Okay,
those.
yep, okay.
But if you're going from the meter to the
Correct.
boiler,
Correct.
that's what you
Yes.
do. Yeah, you did it at my house like 10 years ago, so,
I did it.
well, the department did it. Because everybody had a leak.
Okay, any other questions on those? All right, moving on. Run reports for the October of 2021. That report is also included in the handout. We had 177 incidents. 116 of those were EMS in nature, equating to 66% of our total call volume for the month. The engine responded with the ambulance to 33 EMS and motor vehicle accidents incidents last month. Any questions on that? Moving forward, overlapping or simultaneous incidents. We had 33 of those last month, which accounts for 19% of all the incidents for the month. Of the 33 incidents, we had somebody on scene every single time.
Oh, one that we didn't.
I went through all the reports. It might, yeah,
Yeah, those you
I went, crossed them off because I went and read the reports that didn't get, that should have been crossed off.
Okay,
We went to every single one of them.
okay. That's why I saw that one. I saw the other ones were crossed, but,
Yep,
okay.
so I missed, I brought my Sharpie or something.
It just doesn't.
We received 2 mutual aid ambulance responses, but none were transported out. We responded with our ambulance once and did transport. We didn't receive any mutual aid engines, and we responded with our engine 3 times mutual aid. All set?
I got a question.
Yep.
When we respond with our ambulance to another town, do we collect the revenue?
Yes,
If we transport.
Okay.
if we transport.
Yeah,
yes.
well, okay, yeah.
And then the flip side of that would be if another ambulance,
And they transport.
They transport, they
get it,
collect.
yeah.
That's correct.
Right.
Apparatus, A1, we just picked it up, it was Aquaponi for a coolant leak. Engine 2, the radios have been installed, the truck was here last week, so we got the radios installed. We had a bunch of equipment installed, and now it's back at Dingy because they have to raise the bumper and fix some other checklist issues that we found when the truck was here. There's some wiring that needed to be shielded in one of the compartments and a few other things. A couple of tools were mounted not quite the way we wanted them mounted, so they're remounting all that stuff now.
And they're gonna take care of that,
They
no
take
additional
care of it.
cost.
Yep, nothing.
So what's up with the bumper? That's
So the
what you want.
the angle of approach was designed to be 12 degrees. So, you know, when you're coming out of somebody's driveway or going into somebody's driveway, you're supposed to have an angle of approach of 12 degrees, so you can clear that and not scrape the bumper or anything underneath the truck.
So far forward.
Right.
Okay.
It's actually less forward than engine 1, the one we traded in. But it showed up and it was at 9.1 degrees. And so we're making them adjust that. And that may, they have to move the auxiliary cab lift mechanism, which was the first thing that was being hit. I don't know why they put it there, but that's where they put it. That's being moved, and that's just hydraulic hoses. That's easy to move. None of this is at any cost to us. And the bumper, they're gonna raise it, but I don't think that's gonna meet the 12 degrees that we're looking for. But if it doesn't, they're gonna have to remanufacture a different bumper that is, the bumper we currently have is 12 inches in depth. They're gonna reduce it to 10 inches in depth. So that'll give it 2 more inches of clearance on that angle of approach, and they're fairly certain that will do it. But I wanna see, before we lose that 2 inches extra bumper, what's it gonna look like. So, we're making sure that it's the truck that we need and what we designed and asked for before we accept it.
So this was spec from the factory.
Yep.
For the bumper. And our specs did have the 12-inch.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
12 degrees.
No, 12 degrees, yeah. And when it got here the first time, Dingy didn't
So
catch that, or?
when we went when the truck was brought to Dingy's, when we went and inspected it there and brought all the tools and stuff, we're looking at the bumper and, let me go backwards. When we're at the factory looking at it, I asked the engineer about it, because it looked a little low to me. And he says, no, it's 12 degrees, look, right on the plans. I said, okay. I says, even that, the auxiliary cab lift mechanism. He goes, yep, it falls within that 12-degree line. We were more worried about the height of the truck.
Yes.
That's what we're really worried about, and it did meet the height, and we did all kinds of experiments to make sure this thing was gonna fit in the station. Then when Dingy brought the truck here, after it was delivered, to make sure it fit in the station, after all the stuff that we did out there, we looked at the bumper, I said, that looks really low. And so we brought it back to Dingy's, and he put it on, he got out his stuff, he says, yeah, it's only 9.1, not 12. I said, well, that's gonna be fixed, because we're not gonna accept the truck until that's fixed, because we don't wanna come out of different driveways that I know that are gonna be a problem with a 9.1 degree angle of approach rather than the 12 degrees, what we need the 12 degrees. And so they're confident they're gonna get us the 12 degrees, and it's gonna be at no cost to us, but it's just them doing it.
Right, the cost, yeah, that's not even a question that,
What's bothering me now is now we don't have the truck currently in service.
that's one thing. The second thing is now, if you have to make an adjustment or something on it, this is where it is, and we're not gonna eat the cost of it, but this is where some engineer, as we were just talking, is now going to design and try and fix something.
So-
And I'm worried about the compatibility and what you have in there, either for water lines going to a front or electrical going to something, and the compatibility, so that we don't have a ghost we're chasing for the next 20 years.
So I agree with you on that, and this is why we have Larry Dingy working on it, who's been working on fire trucks, not designing them, but he has designed them. He's practical. He knows how to fix these things, and he's working with Supton to come up with a solution that's gonna be what we need and be practical and work, and not impact the truck in a negative manner whatsoever. And we're gonna take these lessons and move them to the next truck as well.
What do we have in the front bumper?
All we have a front suck,
Okay,
we have 2 air horns.
air actuator,
The front suck is air actuated.
so you got air lines
Well-
going up to it too, or electrical?
It's, the bleeder is air, it's a primer, air primer. The valve is mechanical.
It's actually mechanical up front, it's not?
Yes,
Okay.
it's up front, it's in the
Okay.
pump panel.
So that's a hard piece, you're not dealing with electrical
Not dealing with
and
any of that stuff.
Okay.
And
Siren
the
down below
federal
it.
Q is in it.
Now, is that mounted on the bumper or in the bumper?
It's actually
Recessed in the.
recessed behind the bumper.
Okay. So with that, it's just wires on that and your cab raised, that shouldn't be,
Yeah,
Well,
it doesn't, so when we raise the cab, so the bumper can go up a certain amount before it would impinge upon the cab being tilted.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that Larry said, well, we can raise the bumper this much without doing anything and still be able to raise the cab, and I just have to move the rubber boot on this thing to do that, and everything will be fine. So that's what he's doing right now.
you
And
guys
we'll
have a trash line storage or anything in the bumper up front?
Yeah, it's just a box for LDH, the storage, a soft suck to a hydrant.
Oh, okay, just your supply line, not like a
It's-
trash line?
No,
Okay, just wondering, like you talking, like going down to the 10-inch from the 12-inch. That's why I was just trying to figure out what is all involved in it. And
yeah.
do you have any lights down in the bumper, or did you go on the body on everything?
So there's lights on the sides of the bumper, I believe, but that'll be taken care of as well.
Like I said, I just fear ghosts of engine one, because something got bumped and then we were chasing it for the next 10, 15 years. So that's the only reason why I'm just so cautious of this.
Can I just ask a question? Not to cut you off.
Yeah, no.
So when you brought it in the
Just
building,
marker
it
lights.
fit, right?
Yes, fits in the building. Yeah, so it's just the ICC light
And the tires
on
were
the
clean?
corner, on the side of the
Yes.
bumper.
Okay.
See right there?
Gotta ask.
Yeah.
That's the only electrical there.
And actually, it's tight in Park Street too because of the heaters that are there.
Yeah, the
Oh, really?
heaters that hang down from the ceiling.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can fit a ladder there.
The
Bay.
heater's not in that bay.
Oh, I thought each bay had a heater,
No, there's,
just that one.
Yeah, so ladder would
there's
not-
3 heaters, one by the tanker, one by engine 1, and one in the back by the compressor.
It's a pretty beastly, ugly looking bumper to begin with.
It is a big one.
It is a big one. Yeah. It's made, if you needed to, you could push a car out of the way.
Right. So it's framed up for that, and that's why everything's recessed on
If that
it.
bumper was involved with the engine 3 accident, there would be no damage to that bumper.
That's true. That's
Right.
absolutely true.
Okay. All right.
I took the concept of this bumper from Boston Fire Department.
I just have that concern after what happened with engine 1, and now we're changing something that's, before we even received it, too many different entities involved in it and things like that. There's just something that scares me with that, obviously.
So, no, we're on it, and we're making sure that.
Just don't want to be paying maintenance for the next 19 years.
Well, some bumpers you pay me or something.
Yes, but not chasing the
actually-
harness and everything and that you've been doing, rebuilding.
I'm kind of glad we caught it now,
Yes.
before the first driveway, they go scrape, and you're like, oh, what
No,
was that?
absolutely appreciate that.
You know, so, as you leave like
Okay.
grooves in the asphalt, like, we'll look at,
So engine 1 used to do that.
new car, our auto serve there,
Oh, yeah.
they have the trailers that come in, they scrape and they cut up the pavement.
Okay,
Thank you. for
we'll move
catching
on, okay?
Yeah.
Engine 3, the damage that was done to engine 3 in that accident is gonna be repaired after the new engine 2 is in service.
How long will that take?
What did,
I don't know, I would imagine it's gonna be pretty quick, because I think they're gonna pre-order all the materials.
They are
It's a
pre-ordering.
bolt-on bumper, so,
So is it going to Dingy?
no,
you know, it's gonna go Lake Street
Lakes
Fire.
Region Fire.
So it's gonna go all the way up there? It's almost as far as
It's shorter than going to Vinci.
Is it mostly compartment work or?
No, it's just the front
Full-on
bumper and the
Oh,
splash
it's just cut the
pan.
bumper?
Yeah,
Okay.
the splash pan, the Q,
That was when the car bent it,
yes. The new A2 is scheduled, as you know, late winter, early spring. The new engine 1, the final inspection currently is scheduled for us to go out in July of next year to do the inspection on it. Any questions on that, any of that stuff so far?
right?
Okay, COVID, none of the stuff under the COVID has changed. Just got a new update from the governor on COVID, so I haven't looked at it yet, so I don't know if there's anything. I know the children was approved, under 5 years old or something like that, I forget what it is.
That was 5 to 12.
Maybe it's
5 to 11.
5 to 11.
Because
Yeah,
it
because
was
the
12 and
12's
above
already,
before,
yeah.
So it's just 5 to 11, the under 5 is still.
They're still looking at the younger ones, I
Yeah.
guess.
There was an email I saw from you regarding municipal employees.
Yep, I got you, you're all set.
Yeah, when is, do you know when?
It's gonna be Friday,
This Friday?
next Friday,
What time?
anytime,
Where?
at the fire station.
Sweet, actually, next Friday, I have to leave work in 12 minutes, so that'll work perfectly.
Yeah, come on, get your shot, go home, take some time on, go to
Be
bed.
sick,
Right.
be sick for the weekend.
Well, that's why I want to do, I was hoping it would be like a Thursday, Friday
Yeah.
versus a Monday, but no, actually, I have to drive my daughter to,
Lakes Region Airport Shuttle, I know the guy personally.
yeah.
Okay, Center Street. So what happens there is that every once in a while we lose the internet, and when we lose the internet, we lose the ability to work. And so I'm looking at different other methods of getting internet into the building, whether it's a cradle point or system which uses the cellular networks to at least get us up and running. It may not be full speed, but something so that we can still work. So I'm just exploring those things, and I probably won't have anything, I don't have anything in this budget to move forward on it, because I don't have all the answers yet.
Does Town Hall have that same issue?
Town Hall has fiber.
Yes.
I didn't know if there was a way, if you talked to Tim, that you could,
So fiber, yeah, we can get fiber into the building. Fiber is sold by the bandwidth of how many megabits per second that you, information. And we would need a fiber company to come in and measure what our average use is and what our peak use is, and then they could give us a pricing on what it would cost to bring in fiber. But I'm a little hesitant to bring fiber, because it is fairly expensive to do into the Center Street station currently, because I don't know if I want to spend thousands on something that may not be there. But I'll take your information on that. Do you want me to look at that, the fiber as an option going into the fire station?
So a couple of questions. I assume this is like broadband?
There are other fiber companies out there.
No, I mean that you currently have.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
So there's no surprise there.
So if it was fiber, it would probably be Fairpoint. And if it was, I would probably want a different company as well, because if Atlantic Broadband was to bring fiber in and their system goes down, maybe their fiber goes down at the same time. But if you have a different company supplying you that auxiliary means of internet service, you're more likely to stay up.
My concern is that we don't, even though you have that, you have very minimal technology draw. I mean,
It's just running the computers.
yeah, you just have probably a server somewhere.
In the
All our servers are in the
You've
cloud,
gotten rid of any towers in there?
just desktops,
Yeah,
Right, so what you have is 6, 7
PCs running.
PCs running. You have probably a wireless device. You get some streaming and stuff like that. That's so small for technically a business use. I mean, where you guys are probably got double that going just with everything. And so that's such a small that something's wrong with the whole thing. Atlantic Broadband needs to get out there and fix it. They're getting paid.
Yeah, so when we call them, when it goes out, because we still have radio phone lines, copper lines, we don't have a IP system,
Okay.
so that still always works usually. Yeah, we'll get on it. We just got a problem, and sometimes it's 30 minutes, sometimes it's 4 hours, sometimes it's only 5 minutes.
How frequently is it happening?
It happens often enough that's why I have it here.
I
It's a
appreciate
pain in the bum when
Mhm.
it does happen, because literally everything kind of stops.
and there we sit.
Does it generate any safety issues?
No.
Like, do you lose, and
It's just the reports and everything.
it's just computer stuff,
It's
it's not
just all
like,
computer stuff.
you know, it's not affecting your dispatching abilities or
Nope.
receiving phone calls, making
Nope.
phone calls.
Nope, it doesn't.
Are all of our computers desks or
No,
laptops?
mine's a laptop.
That's your computer.
Right.
I was just thinking for if you were to go with a remote wireless card to at least piggy off when you need to, but you can't, it's hard to do that with towers. I mean with desktop units.
Desktops, yeah.
Yeah. Laptops, they all come with a wireless.
So
no
that's
problem.
why I was
You
looking at a
have to-
Cradle Point. Cradle Point uses wireless signals, but pumps that signal into your switch and your router, so it goes to everywhere.
Okay.
And
It
so
back feeds into a port on your
switch.
distribution.
Yep,
Like a giant hotspot.
Right, and that's what
yes, yeah.
I would look into that as well and find out what the best offer is, because with that, it's not a you're not paying for a long-term thing. You could pay for that and go with a 1 year.
You can go monthly on those.
Right, so that's kind of where I was looking at that, where you're not investing a big amount of bringing it in and then maintaining and all that. That might be a cheaper temporary solution if the fire station was to happen.
Which one would we use? 'Cause we have hundreds of people online on a busy weekend, but, you know, between phones, laptops.
Well, everything here in Tilton is all IP now,
Yeah.
and so you need a very robust system.
I just didn't know if there was like a signal that was strong enough for you to piggyback off of hijacking, some word that came to mind that, you know, like here, there's a, you know, my phone is on the Wi-Fi here because I put the password in it
Right.
before. And
My laptop is as well.
yeah, but does it,
It probably doesn't generate.
I don't think it
signal
generates
further
far enough over there, or,
No, it
No, it
doesn't.
doesn't.
Right.
you know, it's what, 500 feet, but,
Oh, okay. So, I'll look into that and I'll let you guys
Just a
know
couple
how.
options we
Yep.
got.
Moving on, the Park Street bathroom is still underway.
How long is that been?
Well, it's at a halt right now, we're waiting for materials.
Is it still functional upstairs, or do you
Yes,
have to
it's
use
still-
it
no.
downstairs?
No, it's the
Park Street.
Park Street bathroom.
Oh, I'm sorry, park.
So that's
Okay.
still functional,
Okay.
still fine.
Yeah, sure.
What was that?
Number 9.
9, Park Street. Okay, so I talked to John Arthur today about the cell tower. He says the tower is delivered, it's at the tower builder's lot, and it's just sitting on the lot. They're waiting for the engineers to come up with the final foundation design because of what they found in the borings. He's gonna send me a copy of the report where they did the borings in the
Mhm.
fire station area as well, and he says, whoever builds the fire station there, if you build a fire station there, they're gonna have to have some special considerations for the soil there, because the soil, if there's an earthquake, will liquefy and everything will crack and fall. So there are different methods of fixing that, and that would be up to the engineer to decide what would be the best method to fix that. But we're gonna get a copy of the report so we can,
How soon?
he said he was gonna send it to me. I talked to him this afternoon, so I imagine I'll have it this week.
Okay, so we'll have it by next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Most likely.
So I don't know what it looks like, I just know what he said.
Yeah. Okay. Peter.
Repeater, so the police are moving their repeater from Belknap Mountain to Shed Road. And for them to do that, they had to put a microwave link in from their police station up to Shed Road. And so that gets us, what I was looking to do is if I put a microwave link in from, and we talked about this in the budget part, we go from Pleasant Street to Shed Road with a microwave link. That'll give us our receiver site there, but it will also allow Lakes Region to control their site at Pleasant Street, because it'll go through our microwave link to Shed Road, through the microwave link to the police station, to the fiber to Belknap Mountain, and from Belknap Mountain to Lakes Region. Now, I know that sounds kind of all crazy and stuff like that, but this is stuff that most agencies do. They share these resources. And
is this gonna help with the issue that we had in the budget area where looking to upgrade part of the radio system so that the handhelds work
Yes.
Covered.
yes, so what
over in that part?
what I'm working on now are grants to try and complete that project. But the other thing is, since Lakes Region would get a benefit out of this, seeing what they can come up with as well to help with this project. So this is just all talking right now, it's in discussion phases to see how we can all cooperate and improve each other's communication systems.
So a concern with this is dispatch will be moving at some point off the property.
Yep, it's gonna move about, I already know the new location. It's moving about 800 or 900 yards. No, if
Crossing
you,
the road?
no, so if you go down, you go by Lakes Region, Mutual Fire Aid, you get to the corner of Elm Street, take a left on Meredith Center Road, you go where the baseball field is on the
Yes.
left, it's going on that property right across the street from it.
The big field there.
Yep,
The upper part of the state school property.
yep. Well, that's not part of the state school property.
It wasn't?
No, because if it was, it would be being
Right.
sold. And that's what I've been told by Assistant Commissioner Bailey and Director Doyle in a meeting that I had just before I went on vacation last week. It was also in a newspaper, no, I don't know if it was a newspaper article, but
Haven't
an
read it.
article in some New Hampshire register thing or something like that. I can I'll see if I can send you the link to that.
I read it every day, so.
You do, it hasn't been there.
Yeah, I
I'll
just,
send you the link to what John Goldman sent me.
I read it early though, so I may miss an article or two. So.
yeah, I thought that was part of the state school property, that field across from the Robbie Mills
No.
Yeah.
field, because that was where they had the,
So if you take,
was it where the buildings are, or the other
No.
field that's there?
so if you go up Meredith Center
It's on the
Road,
right-hand side.
the new property will be on the right-hand side where Robbie Mills is on the left-hand side.
Oh,
If you were going up Meredith Center, is that intersection
it's
there?
still staying on the Meredith side of that Meredith Center Road.
On the
The
right-hand
north
side.
But it'd be on the right side, it'd be like, if you're going up Meredith Center Road at 12 o'clock, it'd be from 12 to 3 o'clock, that corner. Where Robbie Mills would be 9 to 12, this will be 12 to 3.
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct.
Even GPS, sorry.
That number's not-
See where Robbie Mills is?
Yes, so you come out
So
there,
it's either this field or this field, I don't know which.
So
one it
across
is.
Meredith Center Road.
Yes.
Isn't all that land at an angle?
Yeah, it's angled
Yes.
to a certain degree. I have a,
You take the fill from there, bring it to our station.
Okay.
All right.
all right. Safer, the effect of having Safer. Now, this is really interesting. Before we had the Safer employees, when we had a second call, the average response time to get somebody on scene to that call was 22 minutes and 30 seconds. I did the numbers again today, and it's gone from, in last month, it was 8 minutes and 10 seconds. Now it's down to 7 minutes, 58 seconds. So as more data that we gather from this, it's just, this number just keeps getting better and better. Additionally, we've gone from using a mutual aid ambulance, when before we had the Safer folks, average of 6.5 times a month. We're currently down to 1.2 times per month. And in fact, last month, we didn't use them at all for transports. We didn't lose any transports at all. So this is really the meat and potatoes of why we have the Safer folks, and what the benefit is. We're getting on scene to those second calls in a very timely fashion compared to what we were before. And as most folks know, minutes is, everything. Waiting 2 more minutes or 10 more minutes if you're having difficulty breathing or if you have a fire is exponential. And so we're doing a really great job in improving those numbers. And I can't say enough about how happy I am about the direction that we're moving.
Something with the Safer grants is down the road, you might somehow equate dollars to that. Because if we're transporting more, what that equals out to versus salary and benefits of 4 people.
Sure.
For the 2 to 3 year from now equation, that's part of the justification process, that is a future thing. Just start thinking of that now.
Oh, I
how we
already
can-
have. I know that the savings that we're gonna, the extra earnings that we're gonna get will never cover the full cost of that. It'll cover a portion of it, but,
Right.
and to me, it's not really about the money, it's about the service. We're able to provide a service that we weren't able to provide before that is very beneficial to the community.
Yes.
Extremely beneficial. to
The service is incredible, but the longevity of the Safer program is partly dependent on savings as part of how it was sold to the public. So that's why looking at that and the other opportunities for offsetting funds, and
Yeah, so,
So
that's all part of it
so
as
just,
well.
that's part of your equations looking at, because that's gonna be a key thing 2 years from now,
Yep.
to try and make it happen.
All right, moving on, as you know, firefighter EMT Lucas Hardy has resigned, that was effective last week, and firefighter EMT paramedic Nick Baker, his first day was today, working.
Was he replacing,
He's replacing Lucas Hardy who left.
so we're still fully staffed?
We're fully staffed. And currently working on all these other things. I'm in the process, I just started doing the request for reimbursement for the third quarter for the safer expenses. And being this my first day back from vacation, I didn't get much of that done.
There was, you have in here the 2020 AFG submitted regional training grant was not awarded.
Yeah, no, we didn't get
But
it.
there was a grant that was awarded to Franklin and the,
That was a different regional, so the regional training grant that I applied for was for equipment, and it was to expand our training facility. The regional training grant that Franklin applied for was for actual training, money to train firefighters in technical rescue and firefighter 1, firefighter 2 stuff. So that was, so that's good.
Will we benefit from that grant in
Yes.
any way, or, because it sounded like it was through mutual aid?
It's part of the Lake Hughes Mutual Fire Training Division.
Yeah, so we were part of that program when Deputy Hall was conceiving of that. We signed on to that beginning, so that if we send a firefighter to that program, they'll pay his salary, they'll pay his tuition costs. If we have to pay overtime for him to go, they'll pay the overtime coverage. It's a good grant. It's a really good grant. And we were hoping to get both of them, but can't be.
Appreciate that.
Take one, say thank you.
Yep. So in that respect, Franklin uses our training facility quite often. So I think the next week.
This week,
This
Thursday.
Thursday. So it's a good facility. We would like to make it better, but you know we missed out this year, and maybe we'll try again next year. Other than that, everything else is the same. Any other question?
Not for me,
Paul, you got anything?
No.
just digesting this, so. You already have tick marks?
Oh, yeah.
Did you get an advanced copy?
Nope. I get here
I'll try to
before the
get-
start time.
We're here 15, 20 minutes early.
I know I brought this up before, but the thermal imaging cameras, where we didn't have them forecasted, on your budget, page 1, apparatus.
and equipment.
Yep.
Got 740,
Yeah, yes, 740,
199.
199. We didn't budget for them, but we spent money on them. And I think, I'm not sure,
Those are the personal ones that go on the gear. Is that right?
Yes, I think so.
Yes,
these are the little
Those are
personal
the
ones,
little
these are
ones.
the big ones. Okay,
Little
yes,
ones.
we have hatched through that.
yes.
Yes, we have gone through that one before. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Any more questions on this one?
All right.
All right.
Can we go out of order again?
What do you want to do?
Do you have any new business, Chief? Then let's just skip straight to the budget.
2022 budget,
Yes,
salaries and wages.
yes, that's what you guys were going to discuss tonight.
Look at that, there's a fresh hot copy.
Happy to produce this for you guys. You have this right there.
No, I didn't bring one, but it's okay.
Wait, Commissioner, wow.
Thank you.
What's Commissioner Pyle? Is this my raise or is this,
That was the,
oh, the methods that we,
the amount that you requested. Paul's was $19, yours was $19.59. And it came out to $19.01 and $19.60 due to the fractions.
Yeah, I was working something on my budget today, and it was like $255 and like 9/10. What?
Yeah, so that's why I rounded it.
Why is it 9/10 in Excel? I want decimals. I had to reformat my whole budget.
So what are the dollar amounts with the Osier Pyro? Yeah, I'm sorry.
The top, the one right under the chief, Osier, is $260. I mean, $19.
That's 19, okay.
And-
19 even.
Wait, Chief's request was 19 even?
Yeah, he requested 19, but it came out to 19.01
Paul.
with the fractions.
Paul's.
Paul's did,
Oh,
Paul's
19.
19.
Mine was
1972.
Mine was 1987.
right.
No, I thought we determined last week it was
Yours
19.
was 1959, but it ended up being 19.
No, but I thought when we looked at the numbers last week, it was
It
1972.
was.
Yes,
But now he's saying 1987, which is another number that we discussed last week, so now I'm really confused.
well, hold on, don't be too confused. It's all good.
Well, I wasn't sure. I know there's a worksheet somewhere in here.
This one?
Yeah, do you have an extra copy?
Yes.
Great, so I don't have to mess with that. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, I had 1973.
Did you have this?
I did last week, I don't know if I have it with me this week.
Yeah, we do now.
There you go.
Yeah, we didn't bring that. Is that the number on the bottom that you had?
Yep, that's, okay, yep. That's right.
Boy, I thought a lot about this week. Because of
Oh,
my
yeah.
work, it's the same thing.
I got mine.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Oh,
Please, thank you.
So Chief's was 1972.
that's correct.
Yes,
All right, so we're all talking the same.
same language.
Yep, and then Paul's was 19 and Eric's was 1959.
Right.
Okay, 'cause I have my notes right there.
And like I said, you know, they
Plus or
just,
minus.
yeah, it was that little round fractions, you know?
So in the sheet with the yellow box on it, that information comes from the budget committee request. The last budget meeting that I was at, they wanted to know what the averages were for firefighters. Of current firefighters, the ones that are working now, and how many years they had, and all that kind of stuff. And you add up all the firefighters and all the years of service and all their rates of pay, and you end up, this is what you get.
The 1936.
So, that's what our average
Like,
firefighters.
if you take
earn now.
everyone in the kitty, all 20 employees, or are we just talking firefighters?
Just fire-
Just
Firefighters.
the rank of
Okay,
firefighter,
thank you.
just the rank of
So
firefighter.
16.
12 firefighters, there's 12 firefighters and 4
4
captains.
So this is just the 12 firefighters.
It's actually 8 firefighters, or actually less than that, because I didn't count the paramedics in this number, because the paramedics get a 10% stipend. And I could use that when comparing that
Oh, that
to
would skew
other
it.
departments, when I say firefighter, advanced EMT. So that's what we're comparing, nothing else.
Because we don't know what everyone gets a bump for being a paramedic.
Right, so different communities have different bumps.
So up above, that is firefighter AMT,
That's correct,
or firefighter 2 AEMT,
yes.
whatever you go with.
Just 2, if we're getting rid of firefighter 3, doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I knew that was one, I just thought they called it fire grounds 1 and 2, or fire,
Yeah. When the new book comes out, we'll change it again.
To define something, or so to make sure it's completely in my head, proposed is, like, so Paul's proposed, the 1153, what, I'm not sure how to express it, there's something
That's
that's
the-
not clicking in my head.
That's what the budget would be, and
So if we went with that, that would be, that budget line for over here would be adjusted to the proposed.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just something wasn't clicking in my mind.
That's why the chief's is on there, his request,
Yep.
and then all the other underneath.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
it's okay. I won't-
No, I was-
Okay. Yeah, it just, thank you.
No, I know, I'm good. I'll stay in my space. This is a. This is a decision I've struggled with, because this has a direct effect on everyone as a taxpayer, everyone as an employee, and what our decision, what that effect is gonna have. And I only say it because I'm going through budget process in my in my regular job, not my real job, but, yeah, that's my real job.
And the town.
And the town. But we have union, like for police, we have
Right.
union, so that's a guarantee.
Right.
That's a collective bargaining issue. But, you know, like at work, we're going through the same thing, like we're struggling for pay right now. And we're not getting the applicants coming in the door. And there all the other effects that is having on our abilities to get our jobs done, our abilities to recruit. Because every once in a while, you know, he even said it here, or I don't know if Kevin said it earlier, but, you know, you go across the street to McDonald's and they're offering $14, $15 an hour. We're offering 12.
I know.
And, you know, I was having a discussion the other night with a waitress at a local restaurant, and she's like, I can go drive a FedEx truck for $30 an hour. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then my phone, there was an email, $30 an hour, and I was like, all right. And it's crazy. But that has, so that means that when I ship through that shipping company, it's gonna cost me more. When I pay my taxes next year, it's gonna cost me more. Every penny that we increase this budget by has an effect on everyone. All, was it 8,000 residents between the two?
Of two towns?
Yeah,
almost.
7,000.
It's,
Well,
well,
let's
it's
say-
closer to 9,500 now.
Well, I'll say households, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, because the infant over there isn't gonna be paying taxes on their thing, but everyone that's paying the
So,
mortgage and stuff, it's.
you know, the folks that rent houses actually don't pay real estate taxes, but that's probably covered in their rent.
But it's covered in their rent,
Yeah.
you know, they're not, but again, if their rent goes up $100 a month because, you know, we increased pay of something at the minimum $65,000, that's. And then how frequently are we gonna have to do this, because I don't see it coming down. And we just talked about at a fire station, the labor cost, it's gonna affect the cost of the building. It's,
So, the way I look at it is that we want to, especially the safer folks right now, have no incentive to stay here. Because they really could just pick up and go somewhere else and start making more money. I don't want that to happen because there are no firefighters out there to hire right now. There are 33 communities right now on the state website looking for one or more firefighters. Merrimack just got a safer grant for 8 positions. They're probably gonna have to turn it down because they can't fill the positions. Not because they don't want to, it's
it's
just
the
they
irony of
can't.
the situation right now, the labor market. But they have a better chance of pulling than maybe someone from Massachusetts, but then, I don't know. It's,
So you have to compete with what other fire departments for personnel right now.
oh, I get it, but then there's the intangible stuff, like, was it, you and I had a discussion about that the other day, about the intangible, I think we did, maybe I heard it, you know, like, the knowledge that takes, you know, John leaves his firefighting job, the knowledge that he takes of equipment or whatever, of buildings, that's going, you can't replace that for years,
That's correct.
you know, and that is that's one of those, to me, it's an intangible that you can't really put a price on, but you know, you can't put a price on it, but then you look at, okay, if we're all struggling, everyone's struggling, now what's gonna affect our budget? So is an increase gonna cost $140,000 at the top end? The bottom end, $65,000. Is that going to are we gonna spend that much in overtime? Do you know?
If we lose an employee,
I mean, how much overtime is it gonna cost us?
a lot.
Okay, but how much is a lot? I mean, is it,
It's weeks, months,
let's say it takes a year to fill that position.
exactly.
It's,
I think in a case like that, though, you're gonna have to find a way to compensate for it. I mean, I wouldn't look, I mean, at 19, you're above Franklin, you're right at Guilford. I mean, so you're right in, so there's 3 higher than us. But there again, we're right up with Guilford.
and Guilford
Guilford
has
is a rich
openings
commu-
that can't be filled right now.
Well, Guilford's a rich community.
Why do you say that?
Because they have a lot of waterfront. And
They have a lot of waterfront.
Yeah, they do.
Not rich on my end.
And
Not
what's
rich on
gonna,
my end.
and I think over time, you're gonna find it's not gonna keep going up and up and up. There's gonna come time it's gonna crash. And when it does, there are gonna be some people hurting.
I think Eric described it perfectly. You know, you look at the profession, the trade, and you try to compete with all those others in that trade or profession. Just like carpenters and electricians or the hotel industry or whatever business, you're competing against that profession or that trade, and each has its own benefits and disadvantages, and we're all trying to get the same piece of the pie when it comes down to people. But when we're looking at these things, I think it's, you know, we've got to focus, and that's what we're really looking at.
Well, your pool of
Yeah.
applicants is much smaller than most other industries,
Yes.
you know, because I can't go, oh, hey, you know what? I saw a Help Wanted sign at the fire station door. I can't go be a firefighter because I don't have the training. I can't operate a fire truck. I can't operate a hose. You know, I can operate a garden hose, but I can't operate a hose. I don't know how to run an SCBA, you know, breathing apparatus. I probably couldn't run up a flight of stairs with a, you know, 60 pounds of hose on my back, whatever. But you're
It's definitely, it's challenging for sure.
it is.
And the worst part is the government caused it.
Well,
Wow.
Yeah, it
I
does.
think
I'm not gonna go political. I
Yeah,
don't
I'm not
know
gonna
feel
go-
day
It
all
has
night.
caused it. Whether you look at it, you can look at it any way you want.
well,
I can go back and forth on debate all night long.
Yeah, you can't.
Not
Not necessarily I agree or disagree.
718. I don't want to debate that.
Like I
So-
said, I've made my choice already, and I did put it on there, so that's what I'm sticking
So
with.
my whole point in this was I wanted to be somewhere near the middle of our market area. And that's kind of where I actually put us right in that area. I didn't put us above the middle, I really didn't put us below the middle. And the problem is with just going with the middle is that Plymouth is already reevaluating And I got an email from the Plymouth chief that says, this is what we have right now, but we're reevaluating, and the pay raises are gonna go, the pay rates are going up substantially is what he said.
Yep.
And I can't compete with that. And we have nothing, we have no guarantees for these safer folks after there's no guarantee for them to stay here. Commissioners or anybody, nobody has stated, we're keeping you guys here, we commit to it. So there's no incentive for them to stay here, so they're all shopping right now.
Absolutely. And the safer is an opportunity for them to get into the fire service.
That's it,
Build a
absolutely
little bit
right.
of experience and then sell themselves to where they want to eventually settle down. That's what the safer program is to these, unfortunately. Where do they want to settle down? But meanwhile, I'm going to build my resume.
That's exactly what's happening.
We just got very fortunate, we got awesome, unbelievable people.
Right. Yeah. You got into the pool first before everyone else got the safer grounds.
That's exactly right.
Right.
We were the first ones to get it,
Right.
so.
So the
But now,
pool,
the opposite is happening though, where towns may not be able to take it, because they may not be able to fulfill the
Right. because they went too
commitment
far.
of the,
Right, but if you find a town that's putting on 4 instead of the 8, there's a chance that they could fill that from the pool
yeah,
out there.
8's a lot.
The 8 was the setup for it, unfortunately, and
And unfortunately, the communities that are further south from here pay substantially more as the further south you go. But then there's communities like Twin Mountain, that starts them at $22 an hour.
Yeah,
no one lives up there.
but that blows me away. But you have a lot of vacation homes up there too, so,
Yes.
but I mean, but still, when you first presented that, Plymouth, I mean, I work in Plymouth, so I can relate to it.
It's a college town.
True.
Money coming in from a college.
Not much.
No, they don't pay any taxes.
They just,
they
it's
support-
kind of like Loudon with their fire because of the track. They get,
They support
They get a
the
stipend every
restaurants
year.
and things like that, because the kids are going out to eat and things like that. So they support the local business.
The stipend they get though isn't that great.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the stipend's the right word for it, but they
But
get,
yeah,
they get a fee because
Right.
there's a lot of
Fee in
taxes
lieu
that
of
play into
taxes,
it.
Yes.
there.
stipend in lieu of taxes.
Right.
Because I know in Tewksbury, we had the state hospital campus,
Right.
and they gave us
City of Concord's probably the same way. They have
a fee
lot.
in lieu of
Laconia probably the
taxes,
same
which
way. They
was
get some.
there's
silly.
ways to get stuff back. So, back to this, because we're gonna be here all night either way.
Yep, need to decide, please.
Where you guys, was the thought process, the dollar amount and the 2.5? Because the dollar amount increase, it's a $1.79 increase for the chiefs of 19.72. It's a $1.07 increase for option number 2 with Paul's, and it's a $1.63 increase on salaries for number 3 Pirates. Eric's. Now, if you start throwing in if you went with just a 2.5, off of where we exist right now, it came out to 1834, something like that. If you did the 2.5 increase only.
Oh, if you-
18.37.
From the 1793?
Correct.
Yeah.
If you did that only, it comes to 1837 an hour.
The one that Eric requested came out to the COLA amount, the 5.9%. No, it's 5.9.
Yeah. it keeps going
For
up.
the Commissioner Pyra or the Commissioner Pyra with step?
Commissioner Pyra without step,
Equals out to a 5 point
yes,
COLA
yes,
would be the.
1959
right,
an hour, that's what.
right.
Okay.
19,
South Dakota.
yeah,
Okay.
that one.
So it'd be the equivalent of if we said, okay, we're gonna give a step and a COLA,
No, that would be just the COLA,
just a COLA.
Just a-
just the COLA.
Yeah.
I mean, my thought, I'm just putting on the table for thought process is, I'm not in favor of a step and increase. I just think that's even harder to sell to the public. So it has to kind of be one way or the other, in my opinion. That's just my 2 cents on this. That has a better chance of selling to the public. But trying to do a step increase and a baseline increase, I think that the budget committee would have fun with that before the townspeople even had a chance at it. That's
So-
just 2 cents out there.
So the whole, kind of basic premise I'm kind of shooting at is that I don't think $20 an hour to start as a firefighter with all the requirements and responsibilities we place on these folks is a bad number compared to everything else that you can go around here and get other jobs searching for folks. I don't know if they're getting them or not. But, I know you're not getting them at your business, and McDonald's is looking at $15 an hour. So you could flip burgers at McDonald's for $15 an hour, or you can come and fight fires and deal with people's worst days in their lives for $18 or $19 an hour. I think 20 is still a bargain.
But you're not gonna have benefits at McDonald's.
That's
You're
the
not gonna have,
equivalent.
not the retirement
McDonald's.
system, not the, I
No,
mean, you're not gonna have any of
But you
that.
could go to the Walmart warehouse in Raymond, making $25 an hour with benefits and 401k. So we have to deal with fire departments. You can't really compare fire departments to construction companies when you're
I
trying to do
agree.
salaries.
I agree with you 100%. That's why I am at the 19 year. I mean, I'm ready,
That's why
more
I shot
Franklin
for
and
the
ready to
middle
open.
and not the lower end, because at the lower end, if we lose somebody, we're still gonna be struggling to find somebody. Because Guilford can't find anybody right now. They're trying to steal people from other towns now.
Well, there again, I'm not at the lowest either. I'm not at the highest, and I'm not at the lowest.
Well,
I'm right in
why
the,
don't you shoot for the middle? That's what I did. I'm
Because-
trying to be fair.
And we understand that, but we're also trying to get something that's gonna go across. You are adding another $100,000 to a budget that, right now, the budget is, 289, 2,892,97. To add just Paul's, you're adding another 100,000 onto that, so you're going 2.99, so you're pretty much $3 million budget.
No, that's
His
Eric's.
budget
It's
includes, his budget, the number that you see, the 2.892, that includes the chief's rate.
Is already included in that, okay,
Yes.
thank you, okay,
Yep.
all right.
So anything,
So it's the difference, so,
it would be the difference, so if you went with
okay,
my
thank you.
number, it would be, oh crap, my math sucks.
Less.
It would be
Less.
less by about 29, approximately.
No, it would be less,
For
30,
the increase, right?
40, it'd be less by about $80,000 roughly. 75,000 maybe.
With the chiefs in there, it would be the 139,334 minus your 101,675.
Oh, you know what, I was reading Paul's, I'm sorry.
We're
okay.
reading Paul,
I was
yes.
reading
All
Paul's,
right,
I'm
so
sorry.
it'd be about 38,000 less.
Right.
Right,
Okay,
thank you,
all
sorry.
right,
I had wait to be speaking the spelling language, sorry.
okay.
To fill somebody at the starting rate, overtime for a year comes out to about $65,000.
This also would include, this, in my number, the 101,000 includes everyone,
Right,
across the board.
yes, everyone,
You,
yes,
everyone, all 20 employees.
all 20 employees.
So if you do simple math, that's about a $5,000 raise. More or less. I understand it's not even, I'm just saying, I'm just doing simple math in my stupid head up here.
Then you have other municipalities, fire departments now offering sign-on.
Well, no, Laconia has $4,000,
Three
$3,000.
and four.
I think Manchester's gonna be coming up with something. I know other departments are coming up with
We
something.
know that there's other things out there, but
Well, that's in the fire world.
Yeah. just the
And
fire.
I still stand by the fact that, yes, a firefighter may live here in Tilton or Northfield or in Franklin or in Canterbury, and they're still willing to drive for the 24-hour shift
Mhm.
to Nashua, to
Keene, it's not that bad of a drive.
no.
Keene did.
Keene,
Well, Keene, or maybe
the
not
Nashua,
Keene.
the Nashua wasn't bad, but the Keene, yeah.
Yeah, but the one who was doing key moved.
No, all right, or Carroll, you know, that's not a bad drive.
It's-
Maybe in the winter it
it's
might
not
not be so
terrible,
much, but it's an hour north.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's an hour south.
right.
It's an hour, what's an hour east would be Portsmouth,
I just,
Epping.
I
Yeah.
don't, well, like I said,
Like I said, my kid started repping at $22.30 or something like that an hour, and he was, after 3 months, he got a 50-cent hour raise.
Why do we have to make these decisions? No.
I'm just trying to run a, you know, you're always saying try to run a business. This isn't a business, it's a service that we're providing. So I'm trying to run a good service, trying to provide the personnel to run that service in a manner that the community deserves. And, yeah, it costs money.
Well,
And-
what's
which
the
is-
price
everything
to ask someone
costs
to run
money.
into a burning building? Or jump into a fast-moving river, or...
Some people do it because they want to.
No, I know that, and I think most of them,
I think everybody in the
Two.
fire service do it because they want to, because they like the excitement and the
they
thrill.
want that
They're
adrenaline
type
rush.
A adrenaline rush
Yeah, oh, I get it.
personalities.
So that's another benefit for the fire service is, it's not a money benefit, but
No, it's but there's this 101 in my figure, is 101,000 including retirement, no, that is a straight
No,
salary.
that is straight salary.
Straight salary.
That's what you asked for.
Yep, no, it's just.
so these numbers increase, they have benefits increase as well?
Retirement.
Retirement. Wouldn't necessarily be benefits because they pay the same amount,
Oh, yeah, the retirement, that percentage over there, yeah.
whatever the percentages of the, well, we pay 100% of the
Social
insurance.
Security, Medicare, and retirement, because it's a percentage based on it.
They don't get social security.
it'll affect the overtime,
Medicare, we pay.
it'll affect the overtime pretty bad.
So let me ask you this, chief, because he just brought up
Yep.
a subject. If we approve a number,
Mhm.
where can we cut overtime? Where can we cut something else to offset?
Well, which number do you want?
I don't know, I'm asking the chief.
All right,
So,
so,
I'm just asking the question, because,
if I had to find places in the budget, the whole budget to cut, we can't cut the electric.
no, I
We can't
get
cut the
that.
water things. There's only so many things that you can really adjust. You can adjust training,
Well, last year in the budget,
you can,
we cut overtime, and it looks like it's gonna be awfully close.
it is gonna be awfully close.
I think I figured out last week, we were almost like spot on to the 215, based on a,
We're
So
very,
the
very close,
reason,
yeah.
the reason we're gonna be spot on is because we haven't really done a whole lot of training this year, because we've had other expenses that we've had to rein in. So we have a lot of in-house training, but not a lot of outside training.
But you also have somebody who's been out for a while, so that's all overtime.
Yes?
Oh, that must be kids in
Yeah.
war and
we don't know if that may happen next year. I mean,
Yeah.
could happen January 1st, someone
that's-
walks out.
Those are questions you can't ask your
Some sort of
employees. You
fire.
plan on having any children next year?
Well,
When
no,
you're
I'm not
doing your
saying-
budget,
no,
you
you
can't
can't.
ask that question. You know, are you planning to fall down and crack your head open and get a concussion like, you know, what's his name in Franklin did? He was out for
Firefighter.
months. Yeah,
Trust me, I know what concussions.
so I can't ask those
I
questions.
mean, what?
Legally, I
We're
can't
at
even ask
$250
them.
million in overtime now.
no, we're not.
I thought it was 250,000.
Is this,
No.
yeah, it's
Oh,
two-
yeah,
215.
215.
215.
It's pretty,
no, no, but for
That's
his budget,
appropriate, right now, we're actual is at 185.
that was
Right.
through October.
we're gonna come close.
September? No, but for the budget, so
Yeah,
does the, how do I put this? Again, using one of these numbers,
Mhm.
how does it affect the overtime?
so
But
my,
it's gonna go down from the chief's number.
I did
yeah,
not,
we didn't do that.
I did not adjust the overtime, because the chief is the one that always puts the overtime out there, and he always underfunds it to begin with.
No, I know, but I'm just asking the
I
question.
have a whole worksheet on how I arrive at the overtime number.
So,
It's not something I pick out of the air, actually.
No, I don't think you spin the wheel and go, oh, hey, 2 came up, or 5 came up. It's not,
so if I understand correctly what you're asking me, if you decide not to go with the chief's recommendation and someone else's, would the overtime be less than what's in the chief's line right now?
they're
Yes,
right. that's
it
right.
would be, it
Because
would
it's
be
been-
less, it would
okay.
be proportional. But this is how I arrive at the overtime. This spreadsheet right here, and it basically takes everybody's average sick leave that they've taken over the last 3 years, and I take an average of that. And how much vacation time are they gonna be available? How much personal time is available for them to take? Then there's a floating holiday. Sometimes some of them take cash, some of them take time off. I'd rather them take cash, because time off is time and a half. Cash is straight time. But they're allowed to do either. It's just the way it is. And then the training requirements of 2,676 hours times the overtime rate. And at the end, you come up with a number, and the number I have in this thing is $250,000 in overtime. Now, can we cut training back? Yeah, we probably could. We have in the past 2 years because of COVID. So do we want to cut training back? But if you approve a lesser number than what I've proposed, the overtime number will be adjusted accordingly. Because they're all connected. It's spreadsheets upon spreadsheets. This is how I come out with the training line item, you know. People put in, I want to do this training, I want to do this training.
Right,
Some
but when we
people want to do this training. Well, I don't see you doing that training. You're not ready for it, so we're not going to let you do it. But I'll let you do it because you're ready for it.
When I see training, I don't know what page it's on.
But there are other trainings that I want people to participate in tremendously, like like the
Ready
burns, the technical rescue training. Those things we have to do, even though they're not really required, we have to do because technical rescue is such a low-frequency, high-risk event, and those skills are perishable. If you don't practice them, you're just gonna get somebody killed.
When you say the $23,000 for school,
Yep.
that's not including overtime, that's just the
That's
cost of
the
that.
cost of
That's
the
like
classes,
books,
tuition, all those
tuitions,
things,
whatever,
yes.
it's not. So the overtime for that is incorporated into the 50.
Yes.
But it's like CPR cards, it's,
Yep.
Your EMT certification.
EMT, yeah.
Certifications, paramedic recertifications.
supplies that you would need, just like you have supplies for the ambulance, it's the same thing.
Yep.
Okay. John, what do you think? I don't remember if you had a number in your head last week. That would be-
John didn't say.
I know, he's been eerily quiet.
I would be more leaning towards the 1959 without the step. My reasoning for that is it's a $1.63 raise increase, so now when you're talking to the public, you're talking, okay, some people don't get a $1.63 raise to begin with. It does equal out to the 5% COLA for this year. So I can tell you, I'm not inclined to do the step and. The step was gonna be less to begin with, so like I said, when I did the math, it was like 18.37, so we weren't even at Paul's if we did just the step. I'm looking at the chief, what's running through my head is I'm looking at the chiefs of the 2.8 million. This, it's shaving off 29,000, which when you're talking the millions, that doesn't seem like much, but it still does.
I could shave it off 38,000,
Yes.
Okay.
right? Am I-
Is that-
Roughly.
Yeah, 28 sounds roughly, yeah. And that then does put you ahead of Franklin, Guilford. It still won't make a difference any higher because the next closest is even above the Chiefs 19.72 of the Bristol, the immediates around us. Actually, of the whole package. When you look at all the numbers down there, the Lakes region is the cheapest of them all.
It moves the starting salary to 1960 because of all the, you know, fractions.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure that you understood that.
No, I get it,
Versus 19.5,
Yeah, it's a petty.
Yeah.
but the pennies add up. to
Actually, I didn't see Belmont in here either, so.
That one didn't submit.
They
No
wouldn't
submit.
submit. I tried a number of times
They,
to get the one of them.
the flip side of all of this is we could be back here, sitting here in 6 months, we're gonna say June, 6 months into next year, and we have, God forbid, an exodus, and we're looking at ratings, you know, where are we gonna cut in the budget
To get overtime coverage.
to get overtime coverage or to get more money to pay people, because we're not paying enough, we're not, you know, we're not getting enough in the door or anything.
So something to keep in mind is that we're running an ALS only service of AEMT and paramedic. One area where you could go an even lower base is in Fire 2 and EMT. As long as you have at least one ALS on each ambulance, you still would be able to charge for ALS. But then you could
But
run the base.
charging for ALS though doesn't benefit this number, because that money goes to the apparatus and equipment fund.
Overall, I mean, it all comes out in the end as a wash, but you would save a little bit. You could get more applicants off the street. One of the restrictions of the people coming off the street is that AEMT. Not everyone out there has it. Your volunteers should call people out there who have been doing it for years and want to. A lot of them may not have the AEMT,
Right.
and that's why they are not applying. If you were to reduce your requirement to a basic, then you would open up the pool more.
Or you could send somebody to school to become an EMT.
Once you could hire them in and get them in the door, and then that could be an incentive for them to stay.
What's the cost of that?
I think what you're seeing on a lot of the postings now, you know, 5 years ago was paramedic preferred, now it's AEMT preferred. I think that's more or less kind of where
Yeah.
the search is going, obviously.
Yeah, just because the pool's not there. There's a lot more out there that have come from the background of call, volunteer, and are going to the tech. I mean, to graduate from the tech, they just need to have their Fire 2 and their EMT. I don't think they have to have their AEMT to graduate.
No, just the
Just the
basic.
basic
But the
EMT.
same people are competing for the same job, so there's AEMT or an EMT.
Right.
It's the same. same pool of talent, if you want to say.
So currently, the fire academy had a recruit class graduate a couple months ago. About 30 firefighters gone.
Mhm.
Every department is down at there on a daily basis.
The state needs to be putting out more recruit school and stuff.
That's one of the issues that we're looking at. But you know what else? There's an instructor shortage. How can you have recruit classes if you don't have instructors? And how
That's
can
on
you
the
get
state to
instructors
get their instructors and pay people,
So-
because they get paid a separate fund from their
from the
department.
fire fund? Well, so on this committee to try and increase the fire instructors. Problem is, we can't pay the fire instructors what they should be getting paid, because if their pay rate is codified in state law, you have to change the law. You know what it's like trying to change the law to change the pay rate?
That's not on
I
us.
know it's
Our
not on
district
you.
here, that
And
doesn't.
that, and actually, the funding for the fire academy comes from the state fire fund,
Okay.
which is only budgeted out until the next biennium, and then there is no more fire fund. So, there's a lot of problems in the state
There is a lot of
that need to
problems.
be addressed. And
That's not.
it's not our problem,
Right.
but it is our problem.
We are dealing with the consequences of those problems, and we have no way of impacting or influencing the change of that. We're not gonna send our people down. If we could send our people down there on their off time to get paid by the state to be down there as officers in training. That's not coming from us for overtime or anything like that. If they're doing it on their off days, I support that 100% as their second income. Absolutely. But that's coming from state funds. That's not where we
We're
are
not
here.
paying for personally for the instructors.
Right,
but-
and we're not paying for coverage if they're down there training.
No.
Okay, good answer.
No, I'm talking about candidates.
Yeah.
Other states, like the police departments in this area here in the state,
They do buyouts and all that,
They-
I'm aware.
they'll hire you without any experience whatsoever.
Mhm.
They'll send you to the police academy, you sign a contract.
Yeah.
And after so many years, you don't, that contract, it's like our paramedic. We send somebody to paramedic school, they have to sign a contract.
Right, or the department now gets someone fully trained, they come back, and there's a buyout clause of $5,000, and then Tilton will pay the Northfield the $5,000 buyout clause, because they already have someone trained, and they can get them on the street a lot quicker.
Yeah, there's stuff like that going on.
Yep.
There is a lot of that
But
going
not in the
on.
fire service.
Mhm.
Not because the fire service in New Hampshire requires
Well, I know-
certifications before.
I know on the police side, that, to the best of my knowledge, with the turnover in the police department that we've encountered, we're getting experience, we're not getting any inexperienced applicants.
Right.
So,
Because there is only so many, and with the culture. This is a specialized career field. It's just like someone for Rhines. You can't just hire someone off the street and go pumping for Rhines, because first off, they have to have a CDL. So now that's a specialty certification. And then on top of that,
they'll pay you to get that.
they'll
training.
pay for that training, but that training takes a little bit of time. If you haven't driven big trucks, that takes time. You got weight behind you. You may have to learn truck inspection. You have to do your hazmat test, and some people coming off the streets may not pass that hazmat test for the DOT. It's not fun. It can be done.
No, but then you sign a contract and you're expected to work for 3 years after or whatever.
Right,
So
Or,
we're requiring all those things anyways.
right.
no, I know.
CDL, hazmat,
Mhm.
operations, all that stuff is required, and we don't pay anybody to do it unless we send them to school to do it.
Right.
And we're happy to send call firefighters to that.
Absolutely.
But the career firefighters, we kind of require that for them to become a career
Mhm.
firefighter.
Yeah.
So,
always.
I've already had my.
I know.
I'm not,
No, you haven't budged, all right, I'm just trying to feel the temperatures of the water here.
What is the culture like in Guilford? You kind of know where I'm going with that.
I hang out with the fire chief, I don't hang out with the guys.
Okay, so if I am applying today to Guilford or Tilton which is offering me better benefits, better training opportunities, better comfort life, better living, things like that. That's what I'm asking it for.
That's a lot of intangibles in there.
It is, but you're going in for the same dollar start of $19. Now, if their benefits is much better with Guilford, I mean, so you're now coming in at if you were to come in at $19, you're now coming in, but the overall benefits for us is $68.5, and for them it's $71.7. So you're talking $2,500 better in benefits of some kind.
Yeah, they have.
So unless the culture there is,
They have their family dental plan, which is that what the department pays?
Yes.
Okay.
And they have educational reimbursement up to $1,000 a year.
right,
Do they have the buyout of the insurance?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
so that's what I'm saying, is if I'm looking at, both are offering right now, and they're both gonna pay the same, I'm now looking at my tertiary benefits, which is the benefits value. Guilford's a little bit ahead, but is it the old school culture where there's hazing or, oh, you're a probie, your life is gonna suck for the first 5 years? That's kind of
No,
some of the
I would-
cultures
I would say
of the
they're-
old days.
I would,
I don't think you'll find that in Guilford.
I would say they're
think that'd
pretty
be
comparable.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
I
I just know some other departments that probie really hates life for that first year.
Yeah, I agree, I know that. I don't allow that.
And that's part of what I'm getting at with culture. Guilford, they probably don't allow it much either, or is it minimized? I
No,
know,
I would say it's pretty comparable, actually.
Okay.
I think we operate very similarly.
Okay. that's what I'm kind of getting at is,
Both their chiefs were our chiefs.
I know, but that's some of what I'm talking about in culture. I mean, now you get into training opportunities. Does Guilford have like swift water and they have the boat that they go out on the islands that chug out there and pump a little water?
Brand new
That's
one, too, it's a beauty.
I haven't seen it, but as opposed to swift water training and technical rescue training, things like that. These are other pros and benefits. As we said, the people that get into this kind of like it. I was more of a rescue junkie than I was playing. So,
I would say again, on the training side, I would say as a whole picture, they're pretty comparable,
Okay.
pretty equal. You know, they have the mountain and gun stock, so there are more ropes, more confined space, and
okay.
swift water. I mean, I would say that overall, we're really comparable. We're better, obviously, but we're comparable. You heard me, Steve Carey, right?
I'll make sure and let him know.
Make sure that's in the minutes, please.
No, they're both really good.
Because when I look at that, this is where it makes me lean from the 19 to the 1959. Because your wages are across the board even, but now if someone was coming in that recently graduated with AEMT and Firefighter 2, and both are going to offer those training opportunities and expansion opportunities to get to officer sooner, and who will pay for more schooling, things like that. That's where I'm looking at what we can offer versus what they can offer. That's why I was asking about the culture and things like that, because if they're going to be able to pay for more schooling, or they do in-house company officer training and inspection and stuff, that's just going to prepare this individual 10 years from now to move on to their next opportunity. And what's Guilford like for paramedic opportunities?
It's the same.
It's
They've lost 2 to Manchester. They lost, you know.
Manchester's stealing from
They're
everyone right
dealing
now.
with the same thing that everyone else is pretty much dealing with. It's very comparable. I would think they have. I mean, obviously they have opportunities in Guilford for details a lot more for the concerts and things
with the
like
concert,
that,
yes.
and the big events that they have there because of the lake.
Yeah.
That'd probably be the only difference, really.
But luckily, that's an overtime
Right.
that Guilford's not paying
No,
for.
they're getting reimbursed.
It's a
Right.
different entity paying
Yeah.
for that. So that is something that sells Guilford more of that, and it doesn't impact their budget as opposed to us. Who knows down the road, Highlands Park picks up, or the whitewater canoeing, kayaking picks up, and things like that. Maybe they'll want someone on site for big events and things like that, and then the money will come from that pot. That's the reason why I'm hemming and hawing, because when I compare all that together, I would lean more towards that 1959, 1960.
It was a good year.
That's good as 1959, but
That's the reason why I'm leaning more towards that. I just have I recognize the 19, but for my thought process, the concern with that is that there's just a few more things on the table at the 19 of someone right next door. So that's why I've been hemming and hawing and going through this back and forth. I like the 19. It does keep us a step above bottom, but if I was to apply, I'm going to apply to Guilford for the 19 versus Tilton Northfield for the 19. Unfortunately, I mean, so that's why I'm definitely would be more towards the 1960.
I
I
thought,
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from.
I just look at it like,
Yeah.
we've had 3 people quit and come back.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
Right, so we have a good
So-
culture.
So it weren't about the pay, it weren't about the pay, it weren't about the benefits. It must be something that they want to come back.
There's a good culture here.
It's me, they wanna come back to me.
Yeah.
So there's a good culture here,
Maybe
but
maybe they like
Motion
it.
we can discuss or anything like that for this, there's an open discussion, just procedurally.
Oh, right now it's just an open discussion.
we haven't made a motion yet.
No
No,
motions have been
nothing.
made.
No, because we knew it was just gonna be a lot. We did reverse on this.
Yeah. When they're ready, they'll make the motion, the second, and
Yeah.
vote.
What's your thoughts, since you got the both of us on the table?
well, I think something needs to be done. I mean,
Okay, good start.
I mean, well, I said earlier, you know, I'm thinking about the taxpayers.
Mhm.
You know, it ultimately comes down to the taxpayers and
Mhm.
trying to make the least impact. But on the other side, I'm trying to make it so that we don't have an exodus of employees, firefighters going to other towns and, you know, then, as I say, coming back in June of next year, and all of a sudden we're trying to find ways to, you know, cut Band-Aids and cut things so that we can pay out more overtime, because now all of a sudden we're $50,000 in the hole in overtime because we're trying to cover 2 or 3 shifts with overtime. Is it overtime mandatory? Like if you,
So we signed a contract with the Safer Employee, Safer
Yeah.
Grant. If somebody's out, we have to fill it
Yes.
for the 3 years.
what happens in that weird is a possibility that you can't fill a shift?
If nobody volunteers.
If nobody
they get mandated.
volunteers, we make somebody stay. They don't go home.
No, I'm asking because I'm not there at 7 o'clock, and or when you do your schedule, or when someone calls out and no one says, "Oh, I'll stay."
Now, is there any stipulations in bringing in somebody that's qualified as a volunteer per diem? And there was nothing in the stipulations about that you couldn't do that.
So we can't replace a Safer person with
Call the number.
a call member or a per diem person.
A safer person you can't replace.
Right.
Okay, so
So
say
2
a
employees that way you
full-time,
could use.
a non-safer employee and you're not able to fill, would you be able to pay a call firefighter who, if a call firefighter was fully qualified?
You mean like per diem
Yes.
firefighter? Because most call firefighters are working their other jobs. The per diem
They are.
firefighters, if you can get one, they're a career firefighter somewhere
Correct.
and they do
So
work
shift
as a
B,
per diem.
and then they're working Tilton Northfield as shift D because it fits in there, or they're up in Waterville
So
for
there's-
these
There's
days.
no rules against that, I
Okay.
can implement that
Okay.
if we could get a per diem firefighter. Which are,
There's people out there where they have their shift, so they're on shift Monday for shift A. Tuesday, they're overworking Gilmanton because they can come off shift and they can go to Gilmanton to work per diem. And then Wednesday or Thursday, they can be going up to Waterville and doing per diem.
they can only do so much, I think, per the law. Isn't it, the retirement system, something has to do with that?
The per diem does not go into the retirement system.
I know it doesn't, but I think it's
Okay.
extra work, something about that. I don't know exactly what it is.
But they can do the per diem, and there is departments around here that thrive on per diem. So yes, there are per diem people out there everywhere that could cut down on your overtime.
Sure. But those per diems get a pretty good rate, hourly rate. They don't get the starting rate of a firefighter. They're in the 20s.
They're in the 20s, but overtime would be in the 30s.
Yep.
So, I'm still at the 1959. Like I said, I don't, when I compare the two, just for the culture, that's kind of where I'm going with that. If you had to shrink the overtime, that's one opportunity that as administration, you can choose to shift it. That's how you make it skin the cat. That's up to
Well,
you.
you guys know, however the numbers work out, I'll make it work in the end. I always do. That's my job.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to per diem. I understand the team cohesion. I understand all those arguments, so we don't even need to go into that about the benefits of, first off, a per diem is not going to be a driver for the truck.
Yep.
A per diem can be, if he's an AEMT or paramedic, he's a qualified and he has a New Hampshire license. So you could have a Tilton Northfield regular as a driver, as an engine operator, as an ambulance driver, and that per diem could hop into an ambulance and offer ALS as long as he has ALS. He could ride the back seat of an engine to a fire call. He probably knows how to get out of a truck if he's working someplace else and grab the tools if he's going to be searched, or go to the nozzle, suit up and do everything. A driver, no, it would be a risk having a per diem as a driver unless they're from the area, because they wouldn't know the roads, they wouldn't know the water hookup points, things like that. So there is certain restrictions.
I get it. I'm aware of the
But you
pros and
brought,
cons.
every time I've brought this up in the past, you start going into the arguments for pros and cons. So just to let you know, I recognize all them.
And I recognize the pros.
Okay, so there is pros and cons to it, but per diem could save on your overtime a little bit, which then could better allow to the absorption from the public of your baseline regulars here going up that little bit, but they wouldn't be doing as much overtime, or if they grab the overtime, great, but if you also have the per diem option. Because right now, you say the guys don't come back for calls because they're busy or they're doing other things, they rarely come back. So the only overtime they're getting is really when they're covering down on a shift. They're not grabbing overtime for coming back for a minimum of 2 or 4 hours coming back for a call. Because first off, if they came back for calls, then that would help us increase our things. So they're not coming back for that. That's where I would go with it, is I'm in favor of the I would lean towards the 1959, but I would highly recommend we look at the overtime as a way of possibly compensating for that.
I'll make a motion that we, I don't know what we want to call it, change the starting wage, starting hourly pay. And I don't know if I.
Well, if you're gonna do that, then just do your proposed increase versus the chiefs on the,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying,
Career
we
wages.
approve, I'll make a motion that we approve $1,191,057 as career salary and wages.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
Let's start the discussion all over again.
No.
No, no. You guys have been on this for,
I know.
2.5
It's
years, so it's important.
It's a
subject.
very, very important topic, and that's why.
Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
Let's get the numbers transposed before we can move.
Well, I don't know what that does to, I only did career salary wages, I did.
correct. for the 1191
The others,
057,
So holiday pay,
which is a percentage of that number,
right, it's $54,912.
So one more time?
54912,
It went up? Oh, no.
No.
No, 56 to 54.
right.
All right, I'll make a motion for that 54912.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All those in favor of line 110.5 holiday pay, $54,912, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
Okay, now the next one.
I don't know how to figure it out then.
Well,
let me figure it out first.
yep.
Chief, would you like to go down and look at my computer?
Yeah. This is more than one
Yeah, no,
You've
absolutely.
got,
variable, like there's a
There
number of
is.
variables.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, plug and play,
so that's what you used before, times,
That was the rate.
that was the rate you
Yeah.
used. So now, let's,
but I had one of those spreadsheets that changed.
so it drops it to that.
Okay.
Definitely need to get it all done the following day after our last meeting.
This what?
Need to get it done the following day after our last meeting.
Because of the Excel formulas and all that.
Figured out, yeah.
Yep.
We changed
Yeah,
Change the
I live
formula,
off those things.
to
to-
Gosh, just one,
39.
one thing can change the whole,
Yeah.
Or you miss a field when you do your totals and
Right.
sums, and it's off by that one,
Okay, the overtime,
based on that.
based on that, is 247,650.
247.
247,650.
650, got it.
I'll make a motion to approve line 111 overtime at 247,650.
I need to think about it for a second first. And the formula that's based upon is the base salary, the overtime, that's what your
It's-
equation is based on,
It's
right?
based on the number,
Salary, Yep,
the end number is based on vacation time that the people have, sick and personal time, their floater, whether it's, I account for it as taken off because I have to.
okay.
The training hours that I'm requiring them to take, and then it's the average from the 3 last years of sick time used. So that comes up with a, you put all in the
Yep.
spreadsheet, come out with a number, you multiply it by a factor that we use to come up with the overtime number, and
So what's that factor?
it's the average hourly overtime rate. So
Okay,
we take everybody's overtime rate and come out to an average.
and then you multiply by your
By the
formula
hours.
of everything you did.
Yeah, by the hours that come out of that formula,
Yep.
that's how you get to that number.
Okay, then I'll second it.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
All right, do you want to go back to,
The retirement
go
and,
back to, page 3.
because those are all based on percentages of that.
Right,
Okay.
so line 220
Mhm.
is $12,928.
12,928,
Yes.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve line 220, so, you said social security?
Yes.
For $12,928.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
Medicare, 23411.
23411.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve line 225 Medicare in the amount of $23,411.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Retirement, 473711,
473, last three,
711.
711. And this is once again a percentage based on their salaries, and it's a set formula?
Right,
Okay.
it's set by the state.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve line 230 retirement in the amount of $473,711.
And I will second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion passes.
So, anything else that's based on that?
No.
I would make a suggestion, because I think now the budget committee has something to run with, right? Because we were holding them up bigger than anything with that.
Right,
Well, that's, the budget committee don't write in the salary.
Right, so they went to that first, so then they were waiting for us, so we've done our part. This won't hold up their process.
Well, they meet Friday night.
yes.
Yep.
Could I request that we kind of stop with the budget for tonight, or open, if you have an easy vote?
If I could just bring up the repairs and maintenance,
What page? At the bottom.
for page 4. It says replace railing at fire escape and the siding there.
Yep.
I did get another price from somebody.
Oh, you did? Good, because I had a contractor
Oh,
come,
yeah, gave it to
And,
you.
and they never gave me any paperwork on it.
This is for everything? That,
it's to replace the siding missing out there.
yeah.
The siding that's missing
Mhm.
and the hand railing. I went up the stairs. There's nothing wrong with the stairs. The only thing that's wrong is the
The
railing.
rail.
Yeah.
And
no,
there's some,
it's just the stair.
they're
Just
rotted
the
up
rail.
top there. He's
Yeah.
willing to replace the railing and fix some of the balusters are loose. That's the only thing that's wrong with it.
I'm fine with that for Center Street Station.
In this side, there's what, an area out back there, probably 8 by 6 that are missing siding over in the corner there.
Yep,
That's all I saw.
so, yeah, that's true, that's only missing, but the contractor, 2 of the contractors that I talked to, well, no, Tim Ames talked to one, I talked to one, said when they start replacing those, the siding on the rear of the building is so brittle, when they go to pull it apart to put the new ones in, the next one breaks. And so that's why they said they just assumed replace the whole back. But if you can get someone to just slip it in.
Well, I
fine.
think he looked at it.
Yep.
He's a contractor. I've
Yep.
known him for a long time. He works by himself, and that's his
Yep.
price right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, just those stairs just need to be safe, that's all.
Yeah.
They have to be pretty, they have to be safe though.
Yeah, because you need to get them right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a big difference.
So I'll actually make a motion on line 43001 for the vinyl siding and replace the railing to go with the amount of 1140.
Second it for discussion. I'm just,
This guy is actually, he's done a lot of work for us at the store. I do a lot of work with him myself. I sell him a lot of stuff. Very reliable. And I'm sure he's got all the insurance and stuff like that there. He's been in it a long time, so.
So,
He's not a big crew, he works by himself, that's about it.
Paul, I'm sorry, what, John?
No.
Do you, I guess my question is, for whatever reason, if this individual is not able to do this job, for whatever reason, are you confident we can find somebody else to do it for a similar price?
Oh, I don't know about same
You're gonna-
price.
I
but
thought you said you were gonna do it.
For around the ballpark figure though.
I don't know, I just happen to know this guy.
Yeah.
There's a couple others, I don't know if they'd be as cheap as him, because like I said, he works by himself, and then, he does small jobs, that's all he does.
Sure. That was just one.
He did one up on School Street, put a deck in for somebody up on School Street just recently. He's done work at store, put windows in for us. He remodeled one of the rooms. I mean, he works by himself, docks, he does all that stuff, so he's pretty clever.
Go ahead.
Just one of my thought processes is part of this is we would have to confirm before that he is insured. Just for the liability on the district and all that, I would want,
We need a certificate of insurance.
Certificate of
Yeah.
insurance.
And I'm sure he did.
So
Yeah, I'm
he
sure he
just
does.
calls
I
his
just-
insurance company, they send a binder.
yeah,
That's
I
all
just,
it is.
because of the liability on this, I just want to make sure that we at
He
least
can have
would
one
that.
faxed to there, because we do it
Yep.
all the time.
Yep.
We have to have subs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I would just want that to cover us for that portion as well.
I was concerned if this guy, something happens, and now we're, because these I know these are repairs that are fairly urgent.
The railings are second means of egress out of
Yeah.
the building.
Oh, so it's a safety issue,
Yeah.
and I'm just,
What part of the railing is it the vertical, is it
No,
first?
Top.
It's the top and, well,
Well, it's
the
the whole
bottom too,
system, yeah.
because the whole system. So what happens, what has happened a few times is that when they're plowing the parking lot, they push the snow right into the stairs. And then we have to go shovel it out, but all that snow in the parking lot, especially when it's heavy wet stuff, it actually moved the whole stairs over, and we had to pick them up and move them back.
Because he said to take the bottom piece off, you gotta take all them railings off.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's not gonna do that, he's gonna replace just the top, all the way down, to the railing on top, and tighten up all the spindles.
So he'd put another support board over the existing board.
Now we take that top board off, it's rotted, pressure treated, and put one on top there.
it's a top rail,
Just top
Yeah.
rail, the top
Okay.
rail.
and miscellaneous.
Yeah, there's
In the ball as
Ballast.
needed.
Yeah, and some of the ballast
There's
systems.
been a million screws put in those things and it's warped and.
Yeah,
If I were building
I
one.
mean, I went up there, and like I said, I didn't think it was rotted until I went to the top there, the top one's bad. I mean, you take each picture of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
But other than that, I mean, you got Trex on the treads, which is very,
oh, good.
yeah, and the ballast is, I mean, I jumped on it, wiggled it and everything, and it's,
Yeah, at the top, you don't want to lean backwards.
My only concern is that,
If it, price of lumber goes up or something like that, or if they can't.
well, I mean, okay, we had two quotes before that were 15, over $15,000, and now we're getting a quote for
yeah, but we're
$11,400.
not replacing all the siding on the back of the building either.
That was 9,000.
Was that replacing the entire back, or was that?
Yeah,
Yes, that was
replacing the
everything.
entire back.
And then,
But, well, so is this gonna be like a thing where he starts it and all of a sudden, oh, you know, it's, as Chief said, is it gonna be brittle and he's gonna wind up replacing the entire back? I don't know. I just feel like we're not,
you can put a contingency in, you can go a little bit higher, but you still would want to accept that bid. It's a lot cheaper.
no, and I get that, but I'm thinking the what ifs, you know, it's the,
If you want to go higher, then you can go up to 3,000.
that was the number I had in my head right there. So we have a motion and approval,
I made a motion,
In a second.
and a second.
so I will gladly amend mine to from
Well, I can make an amendment
1140.
to his, yeah.
I will gladly adjust mine from 1140 to 3,000. It'll be a lot easier than voting on the amendment and all that other stuff. And then whoever seconded, if they agree with that, they can agree with that
There
adjustment.
was Eric's second.
So do I have to withdraw my second?
No, you just agree to
I'll
adjustment.
second, I'll just second.
There you
the
go.
agreement.
So much easier.
Yeah, I'll just,
Well, we're gonna vote on accepting the amendment, now we're gonna
No,
vote on
well,
that,
that's what
now
I'm
we're gonna
trying
go back to,
Oh, please.
all right, so I'm gonna
up to $3,000.
Yep.
And that way, if one or two do
Yeah.
break on him, it
I'm just
still
trying-
allows that little bit.
Well, you already made the amendment, you already made the
Yes.
motion, I'm seconding it.
You can just
Any
go
other
for it.
discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, motion passes.
Thanks for getting that, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have some work at the house I might call going on.
So the only thing left other than the elections and
IT,
IT is IT,
It's in.
big yellow block.
yeah, on page 6. I mean, we're not doing elections and legal until further
After
down the
next
road.
week.
Right, after this week.
What about all this yellow on page 12?
That's apparatus.
Apparatus and
Apparatus.
equipment fund,
We can do that next week.
yes.
I would kind of like to pause from this tonight if possible. It's, I think we accomplished a big challenge, yeah, hurdle, the big nightmare, I think, was addressed. And it can go to budget to allow them to now do their part. And for all we know, it might be right back where.
Don't wait, I mean, ultimately, it's the budget committee's budget.
I know. So very well can be recommended.
I would suggest having a copy of that bid at the for the budget committee meeting.
You got one?
I have one in here, hopefully I won't lose it between here and. It's not gonna leave it.
All right, so can we put the minutes off to next week?
I have not
Yes, you
reviewed them,
can.
so
That's
I
fine.
wouldn't be fair.
Yeah.
And the non-public session, was that to approve the minutes or manifest?
I do, no, it's for the minutes, and we also have disposition reports, but we can put that off until next
Gee, I
week if
think
you
we've gone
want.
over our limit.
Yeah, if we could do that.
Because it's only 2 things.
I would be fine waiting until next week on that, as long as it's not critical and.
Well, I guess we'll have
This week.
a little bit of an agenda for next week.
For the meeting, I got calculations.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I'll add,
We did the budget and salaries,
yes,
manifests, right there.
they're right there, those do need to be done.
Any other issues?
Sign that one?
I will. Something else that we can discuss?
What?
No,
Not on the agenda.
no, I don't know, I thought something in the meeting got brought up, and then we said we'll talk about it later. Maybe I'm smoking crack or something.
I think that I'm tapped.
I'm tapped too,
I never say that.
I'll entertain a motion.
You ain't getting that from me yet, so I'll sit here all night rather than give that motion, you know that.
Just,
I'll
Eric,
make a motion to adjourn.
just adjourn.
There you go.
You're the chair, you just adjourn.
But
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second your, but I will not ever
All
make
those in
that
favor
motion.
say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned
I
at,
didn't get everyone, hey,
I thought you said,
I can hear them.
Aye.
at 8:23 PM. Almost a record.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
So when I hit stop,
Yes.